You were on the punchline with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez.
What up?
Welcome to another week of boxing. So, any big news? Like you maybe setting a state record in the powerlift?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
You're a champion again.
Yeah, I got the state record for strict curl, and I won a world championship in the curl for the submasters. There wasn't many people. It wasn't that big of a feat, but hey, it said I got a trophy and big medal. It said world champion. I got that also on the bench.
Yeah.
But the main thing, overall was our team, the Unbreakables and Lonnie. I mean, we went in there. We got to hold. Our team won it all. We beat Team USA. And what Lonnie told me, Team USA hasn't lost in that championship for years. I mean, they're reigning, and our team went in there, and we did it. I mean, we had guys in our late 40s that dominated kind of their division, our late 50s.
Yeah.
Lonnie did his thing, of course, and we had Dave and his son Landon. It was just it was fun, man. It was a new experience, and to watch some of them other guys in that. Yeah. I mean, there was guys in there putting up 525.
Wow.
There was a kid that weighed 198 pounds.
Yeah.
5'8", and he put up 5'7". Put up 498 pounds. Who's that?
That might be Lee.
Hello. Hello? Hey, what's going on? Who is this?
We are experiencing. We'll see. Get one of the guests.
Who is this?
Is it?
Oh, Ryan. Okay. What's going on? We got Ryan O'Hara. All right, Ryan. I'm sorry, it didn't come up on the phone.
Tell Ryan tell him that we do that. We'll do that at 7:30.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, we're gonna do this at 7:30. Is that all right? He's looking for a quiet spot now.
Our spot. Oh, okay. He can do the commentary now if he wants. I don't care. What do you think?
Yeah. You want to do the what time? We're trying to figure out. You want to do it now? Okay.
We are doing our commentary with Ryan here now. So.
Well, yeah. Well, you do 7:30, or if you want to do 7:30.
That's our time. His time's different.
It is 6 o'clock. Okay, that's fine. Well, what time we got calling in?
We got to be calling 7.
All right. Yeah, 6:15 will work.
Terence, yeah.
All right, bud. Bye.
All right, we have people calling the show already. They want to get on here and give their commentary, and that's Ryan. I think we had
Ryan's real big with the boxing. He was on a couple shows ago.
Yeah, he has a lot of followers. He's a media guy. I guess he wanted to call in early, but we have a lot of stuff going on today. Guests, we have Lee Samuels coming on.
Lee Samuels,
Vice President of Communications for Top Rank, and
we got Terence Crawford.
Terence Crawford.
So you want to talk about a show like getting people on? I mean, right now the pound for pound king, I think, are arguably up there as pound for pound. A lot of people could put him number one since Andre Ward retired.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting.
Well, who do we have coming up possibly soon? Is Brandon Rios, Jesse Vargas to look out for.
Yep.
Michael Carbajal,
Sergio Mora. We have a lot of guests coming. Still, we're gonna get in contact with Darnell Boone. Darnell Boone is a kid from Youngstown, Ohio, a pro fighter, but he has fought Adonis Stevenson's, Andre Ward's. He's been in his training camps as a sparring partner for Triple G and Canelo.
Yeah.
And all different kinds of world champ fighters. So.
I think so. I think we have a big list. Big Boy from 102.9 and Clear Channel wants to come on. So I think we got a lot of stuff going on,
Any questions from anybody?
I don't have my question thing up.
Why is that?
Because I had the questions for Lee on here.
Okay.
See? So I don't know any questions. Our producer would have them, though.
Is there any questions, producer?
Got a shout out from Dewey Allen from England.
Oh,
you can put that on, and we can just go right to that once the show starts.
I don't know how.
We get him on.
I don't know how to do that.
Do you guys know Dewey Allen, or you just pick up the show? He's from England,
Shout out to Dewey.
Yeah, thanks, Dewey, for tuning in. We appreciate.
And
did you want to touch on any of the Wilder shit that?
I do want to touch on the Wilder shit. I mean, let's talk about this video Wilder made, claiming he's the greatest heavyweight in the world, or that he's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Okay, yeah, we will get to that. But I remember it was a show that we did with the rapper show.
Schizo.
With Schizo. Fucking Youngstown. It was all around. I had big people in the ups come and bitch that we were not right and we were causing trouble and shit like that, and just the typical fucking shit from a shithole, I guess. But yeah, and derelict,
don't forget we were
derelicts
drinking.
that talk.
We were drinking too.
Yeah, we were drinking that because we had rap, because the show was called Yo Punchline Raps, like back in the day, you know, when they Yo MTV Raps, and yeah, that's the fucking shit that, you know, you.
Do you know how to get us on there?
Yeah, I was just told by a fucking a derelict from here, this area, that he's arguing about contractors that were building my house. I never had a house built. I bought, and he was literally telling me that I had a house built.
Yeah.
So Wilder on that. No, I cannot say. I don't think I mean, right now, I'm not 100% sold that he's the best heavyweight in his division right now.
I'm not even sold that he's the best heavyweight named Wilder.
True.
You know what? The video he made the other day where his mouth was flapping, it pissed me the fuck off. And then saying Tyson was overrated.
Yeah.
People don't show respect. You know what I mean?
Dude, you want to put it on yours while I use? You can use mine. Don't get it.
Jeffrey asked.
Use mine until I get ready.
Jeffrey just asked a good question. Do you think Crawford is straying away from the Spence fight?
Well, from what we've been hearing, Crawford offered Spence the fight, and Spence was the one that turned it down because he said Crawford need to fight somebody in 47 first before you fight him.
Okay, again, can we touch on that? Is it Crawford straying away, or is it Spence straying away, or is it this or that? Again, the fighters are getting put in this, and it may 99% of the chance is that this is falling on the promoters. It's not always the fighters' fault. And the fighters are the ones, just like now, they bring up, is Crawford straying away from the fight? It's not Crawford all the time. It's the promoters that are involved in this and the main ones overall that dictate what's going to happen.
See, the problem with a lot of fans, they get this in their head that these fighters call the shots. That is absolutely not true. They have managers, they have promoters, they have advisors, and when you put all these people in the same pot, it's a clusterfuck. I
agree. I wanted, when I was fighting, I wanted the Abraham fight. I really wanted the fucking Sturm fight.
Yeah.
I truly wanted that one. They never came to be, though, because of... And I will defend Top Rank. It wasn't Top Rank's fault on that one either.
Yeah.
Abraham wanted me to go to Germany. I was the lineal champ.
You might as well pack your title up and send it over there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But that felt... Yeah, I got to put him in a body bag on a stretcher out of the ring, and he still might lose. But... yeah, I mean, that does not fall on the fighters. Okay, I'm going to go back to Canelo and Triple G when that fight was originally first started getting in the works.
Yeah. That
was priced out by De La Hoya and other promoters when he came in with the 90-10 or 80-20.
Yeah.
It's not...
Well, just like Gina just asked, Cotto versus Mikey. Gina, the fight Cotto, I mean, it looks good in theory. But a lot of those kind of fights are what we call like wolf ticket fights. They push that out there just to kind of misdirect where they really want to go with another fight. Everybody knows Cotto and Mikey weren't going to fight at 140. He's a 157, 158, 155 guy. They're not going to fight. But what it does is it pushes the market. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%.
And it pushes, and it makes Mikey more viable.
Okay, here's another real good question. Kelly, I remember you spoke about PEDs in the sport. What do you guys use... and has PED use gone down? Listen, I spoke on that. I've called a lot of people out, which eventually came to pass. It's going to be used, and every year these PEDs get harder to detect. They get more. I don't know the word I'm looking for. They get better.
Yeah,
they get harder to detect. there's more supplements and different things, you know, that fall in illegal that could actually enhance everything.
They have shit now in Russia that goes away in the vapor in your sweat now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, you know, it's hard. I know guys that were doing it. I don't know how you make it a strict testing. I don't know. Maybe you test them so many times throughout a camp. It's really hard to tell. You know, you got to see who they have as a personal trainer and strength and conditioning trainer, what that guy's background. Chances are, if that guy has a degree in it and has coached Olympic teams and this and that, chances are he knows the loops and everything else. Who knows?
If his name's Victor Conti, stay the fuck away. Simple. But no, like
Victors were easy to detect, though.
What's our thoughts on Cotto and Saddam Ali fighting? Hey, if they can make the fight, you know what? Cotto's done enough in his career. If he wants to take an easy fight out, so be it. He earned it. Fuck it.
I said the same thing with Mayweather with this Conor fight.
You know what? It's a goodbye fight. Saddam Ali is an Olympian, but really, what's he done? You know what I mean? He just came off a loss not too long ago. So
I think it's a good fight. I think it's yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you, last night, there was on one of the boxing pages I do enjoy, Championship Rounds, or good page, by the way. But they were on there last night. They were talking about Mikey. And they were talking about Mikey being a promoter himself and how he's fucking up and needs a promoter. I said, for what? Mikey has been doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And that he won't get any good fights. He won't get any fights promoting himself. Like I said, you know what? Talent talks. Talent's always going to talk. People are going to want that title. Well, somebody commented, well, nobody wants the lightweight title. Yes. Every 135-pounder wants the motherfucking lightweight title.
Lightweight's still a huge division in boxing. It's always going to be.
It's a bargaining chip. And you know what? I hate calling out, saying, you know, grew up with Mikey. We've known Mikey. You know, he's family. I don't like to do that. But I'm like, you know what? I know what was going on. I know who they want to fight. And, you know, it's not... That's a misdirect. That whole Cotto shit is misdirection to bring somebody else in.
You know what's great on that? That's another point I wanted to tap into. I did an interview a couple of months ago, and the guy kind of was arguing about it. About guys going on, not knowing how hard it is to promote themselves and doing it. Like the Pacquiao, Mayweathers. There is a lot of shit behind it. Don't get me wrong. You fall into the advertising and the arena and everything else that comes along with promoting. There's a lot of expense. It is hard. There's a lot to it. If you got a smart businessman behind you and people, you could make that happen. Though, when you get to that superstar level, okay, Mikey Garcia is not a mainstream guy, but he's big in boxing, and he has that name where world champions are going to want to fight him because he has what they want. And if they beat Mikey Garcia, they're huge in boxing. Okay, so he is in a situation where he can right now promote himself. He has the Garcia family behind him with Robert and the connections to where he could have people that know what they're doing help him promote himself.
Exactly. And also I said they don't need the money because their money, all that money is internal with Robert and Cameron Duncan. But they don't need that promotional money.
But they don't. And they could, but for them to promote the show or whatnot, it does. It comes into
I agree.
A lot.
But what I'm saying is they don't need that promoter to do purse advances.
And that and that even falls on part of what I was talking about with these sanctioning bodies. Reason why a lot of people don't keep all 4 belts and don't stay undisputed champions is because of the sanctioning fees. Now a lot of them vacate. Some people they could vacate all the belts if they wanted to. They are still the top of that weight class, and that's who people are going to want to fight and who the fans are going to want to see fight in their next fights. Yeah. Do you think Mayweather needed the WBC or WBA or IBF belt to get a big fight?
Absolutely not.
Do you think Manny Pacquiao? Do you think Terence Crawford to fight Earl Spence needs a world title belt now?
No.
2 years ago? A year ago? Yes. But he don't need it now.
Does Mikey need a belt?
Does Mikey need a belt? Does Thurman need a belt?
You know what? Skills.
Does Triple G or Canelo need a belt?
At the end of the day, skills pay the bills. It's not the belt. It's the skill. I mean, the belt is what you need to get started. And, you know, Damon asks, what is Punchline's opinion of blood pressure meds? You know what? I'm all for him, but if it impedes his health in the ring, do you know what I mean?
It's an enhancement. It is an enhancement.
Blood pressure, yeah, but I mean, if you don't take it, you fucking die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're saying... So if you have high blood pressure, you have to take that.
Yeah. And that would Is that Ryan again?
Yeah. Ryan.
Hey.
You're on the air.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me on again.
No problem. Now, we may have to boot you pretty quick because we kind of got a little mix-up when Crawford calls in. Or is Crawford calling in first?
What time is he calling in?
Or Lee Samuels, I'm sorry.
You're good. You got time.
Yeah, we got time for you.
All right, sweet. Well, obviously the first thing on my mind is the Miguel Cotto-Saddam Ali fight. What are you guys' thoughts on that fight, personally?
We just talked about that ourselves, and I personally said, if Cotto wants an easier fight like Saddam Ali, good luck to him. This is his last fight. Let him go out easy.
Yeah, I agree.
I honestly don't think this is going to be his last fight.
You don't?
I think he's going to be back in 2018. The thing is, how can we go from talking about, going out fighting, one or perhaps two of the, top boxers in the world to fighting Saddam Ali? I just don't see Cotto going out like that, personally. And I think Golden Boy, has him set up for at least one more big fight, and then I think he'll retire. But I think retiring against Saddam Ali, it just doesn't seem feasible to me right now.
Yeah, but I can understand that to a point, but coming from a fighter standpoint, I mean, like I said with Mayweather, here's a guy that's fought everybody. He's been in how many different weight classes fighting top guys, and he's 36, 37 years old. We kind of know that he is not Cotto that he was 4 years ago or 3 years ago, that he has faded. So what a big fight against a big name. What is that benefiting the big name guy that he's fighting? And at what risk, and after all the wars that Cotto has been in, what is he benefiting besides only damaging his long-term health? And
I completely agree with you there. And on the other hand, money talks, and Golden Boy knows how to make money. And he was also we were also hearing that of Cotto facing Lemieux. But I made an article months ago saying that that doesn't even seem like a feasible matchup. I think Lemieux would knock out Cotto personally.
I don't know. I've never seen Cotto knocked out.
And Lemieux's not. I mean, of course, Triple G got all the credit in the world for stopping him, but nobody said anything when Rubio was the first one to do it, which I take as a big compliment due to the fact that I was one of the first ones to stop Rubio, besides Coffee Gentilla. But I had to throw that in there real quick. But no, Lemieux, I don't think he's as talented. I mean, I think he is a guy that is a gatekeeper for these young fighters and prospects coming up. He does hit hard. So on my point with that fight, Cotto, that's a dangerous fight for Cotto because Lemieux does have power, and he could get hurt long-term wise. He don't see punches like he used to. He don't have the movement and agility that he used to have. But at the same time, I don't see it as a fight where Cotto is absolutely out of the question of winning it.
Yeah, I just see. I think the original plan was for Cotto to retire after December. But I think this is just me speculating that Golden Boy, they saw the way Cotto looked against Kamigai. Of course, Kamigai is not a top contender, but a lot of casual fans, they might see, Cotto still has something left in the tank, and we'll have one more fight. I think it's possible that he will fight the winner of Canelo Triple G in November 2018. That's my prediction. But if Golovkin ends up beating Canelo, I don't think we're going to see. I think Cotto in that case would retire. I don't think he's going to fight Triple G regardless what happens.
No, shame on Triple G if he took that fight. Honestly, in my opinion, I understand money talks, but
there's better fights out there.
There's better fights out there for Triple G. I would be ashamed to see him take that fight. I mean, you got to remember that's another 10 months from now, if not a year, by the time that happens. And Cotto is a beat down 38-year-old. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this fight right now, even if it is his last one. But I know I see what you're saying from the standpoint of people outside of boxing, though. The casuals.
Jeffrey said we're frickin' frack. That's funny. Yeah. So, let me ask you a question. Ryan, we're getting a lot of comments about the PEDs usage by Ortiz. What is your feeling on that? You know what I mean?
I mean, it sucks. I mean, it stinks that this had to happen again. So, from what I got out of this, so Luis Ortiz tested positive for 2 drugs with like 14 letters in them. I don't know how to pronounce them, but did some research on them, and they are treated. They are used to treat high blood pressure.
Yes.
Now, I did talk to a medical expert who told me that just looking at Ortiz face to face, you can see that he struggles with high blood pressure. Now, the next question you have to ask is, why did they leave off this information on the VADA form?
Because they didn't. I'm sure they did not want them to find out there's a medical issue where there's a chance of the fight being canceled. There's been many instances where even Kelly had the flu and he didn't tell them that he was taking medication.
Yeah, but at the same time, you go through a series of physicals before a fight, though. EKGs, where they're going to detect
brain scans.
Yeah, your blood tests.
Yeah.
There is a lot of that, but usually with something like that, if you're medicated, they probably won't mention it. I'm sure if you talk to somebody, through the commission, I take this for it. They probably let it go in the past, but with a fight of this magnitude, they're digging.
Well, look at how many times people take inhalers because they've had bronchitis and they've canceled the fight.
They wouldn't let me take mine. When I fought Hopkins, this is where Robert Garcia comes into play real quick, right? We had to put the prescription in Stephen Lovano's Lovano. We had to put it in his name.
The WBO lightweight champion at the time,
so the Hopkins camp didn't find out. Man, we were sick, but they wouldn't let me get the inhaler because it was considered a steroid. So I had to take medication, pills that I don't think did much. So that was making me lethargic. But yeah, they get strict, these big fights.
And ultimately, I don't put blame on Ortiz necessarily. I think I'd put more blame on his team for this one, because when you take a look at these drugs, they can also be used to mask performance-enhancing drug use. Now, if there's a chance, and now if his team was aware that these drugs, could do that, and they are also aware that Ortiz has a history of failed drug tests, don't you think you'd be a little bit more careful about what you're taking?
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, it ain't. Again, for instance, I mean, thank God we had a doctor for that fight, but we were that close to taking the inhaler. I could have got in trouble for that, Not thinking, I didn't think that there was anything in it that it was a steroid.
And before we were talking to Ryan Patrick O'Hara. He's one of the biggest boxing guys on the scene. He's a reporter. He's also a news reporter at his home in Arizona. Prescott, is that correct, Ryan?
Prescott, yep.
Prescott, Arizona. And big Twitter following, huge Twitter following.
What's the name of his site, too?
What's the name of your site, Ryan?
The name of the site I work for, I'm the lead writer, is fightnights.com.
Fightnight.com. And also you'll see him at all the big fights.
Plural.
Fight Nights?
Fight Nights.
Fight Nights, yes.
Yep. And you'll see him at all the big fights. He's always the guy running around with credentials. That's where we had met him at the
Mikey.
Mike. No, we didn't meet him at Mikey. We met him at Triple G and Golovkin fight, or Triple G and Canelo fight. I'm sorry, but yeah, one of the better writers out here. He's always working. He's pretty diligent in his information. So look him up. Give his site a look. And before you go, I want to ask you. Some of these fans have questions, and I want to ask Chris Otto Broad asked you thoughts of how Eubank Jr. looked against Urim.
What was that? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, how do you think Eubanks Jr. looked in his last fight?
Oh, he looked amazing. Okay. He looked absolutely incredible, and he's definitely doing great. I mean, it was just amazing how he landed those combinations, and got on the inside, and he had his opponent completely fooled. And wow, that's one bad man right there.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. I missed the fight. I was at Ohio State Buckeyes game. So I did miss that fight. That's why I was asking you, Ryan, because I know you don't miss him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see it live. I saw the whole fight on YouTube, and my goodness, he's an underrated fighter. A lot of people talk trash about Eubank, for not fighting Triple G. But I'm telling you, Eubank would give one hell of a fight for Golovkin.
So, what do you think about Lubin versus Charlo on the weekend? And who do you have winning?
I think Charlo would take it by decision. It's going to be a very, very close fight. I think in the early rounds, I think Lubin will outbox Charlo.
You can't sleep on Lubin.
For the first half of the fight, I think that's going to take. Lubin's going to school Charlo, and you're going to see a lot of casual fans, attacking Charlo, saying he's overrated and whatnot. But you know what? You've got to look out for Charlo's power.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I agree. I think that's going to be.
I have Lubin winning. I'm going to go out on a limb and be wrong 90% of the time.
Charlo's going to hurt him late. I don't think he's going to get a knockout. Yeah. But I think he'll do just enough to get a decision.
Yeah, well, we're going to kind of find out what Charlo got.
Well, it's Jermell. Jermell's the is the less, I think, of the talent. But
I agree with you there. And also, you probably heard that people are writing about Vitaly Klitschko possibly making a comeback.
I have. I read that.
I'd like to speak a little bit on that because a lot of news sources are saying, "Oh wow, look at this, Klitschko's going to come back." If you listen to the entire interview, that's not what he says at all.
Yeah.
He says, right now, if he comes back, he thinks he could knock out Joshua. But of course, if you listen to this English, it's a little bit hard to understand sometimes. He says, well, of course, right now, I can't come back. Duh. He is the mayor of Kiev, Ukraine. So you're seeing a lot of guys out. The reason why I didn't post an article on that is because it's not true. So he's not coming back.
Yeah.
At least not right now. But if he does, he did admit that he does train 2 to 3 days a week. So if he's still staying in shape,
for the heavyweights, you could.
He could do well. But then again, Klitschko's human like anyone else, and he's 46. And I always thought that he was the better of the two Klitschko brothers. And Vladimir even admitted himself that, if they fought, Vitaly would win by knockout.
Yeah, well, I think for that weight class, he's older, obviously, but heavyweights, let's throw it out there. Most of your heavyweights were guys that started boxing late, that were big, maybe football players, whatnot, high school, and that's the gist of your heavyweights, at the most part of it. So it's not like he's going to be totally outgunned from being away that long and only working out 2 or 3 days a week. He keeps himself in shape, and he's big. He could get away with that, I think, in the heavyweight division. For a middleweight to go out there and take the mirrors off and be that age is suicide to go back in.
You have a question, Ryan. Damon wants to know where do you rank Eddie Hearn as a promoter?
I think I'd say he's in the top 4. I listen to the way he talks. The guy is smooth. The guy is extremely smooth. I've watched a number of his videos, just repeating it. I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to promote. And I think he's going to be a great promoter for Daniel Jacobs.
Yeah.
Daniel Jacobs himself, just meeting him, you wouldn't know he's a fighter. If you just met him face to face, you would think he's kind of like a businessman.
Yeah.
He has a very business style to him, and I think the connection with him and Hearn, it is going to be amazing. As long as Jacobs keeps winning fights, that's going to be a great combination.
Okay. And right here they said, do you think Trout has anything left in the tank to win against Hurd?
You know what? I've been looking at Austin Trout and his body language. He's not the same fighter. This latest layoff took a lot out of him, and it looks like he's struggling a little bit in training, just trying to stay motivated. So, I talked to John Vera Jr. Of course, he defeated Sunday Ajua in Dallas recently. I was the TV producer for that fight. John thinks Trout's going to win, but I told him I don't think Trout has it anymore. I think it's going to be a wide decision victory for Jarrett Hurd, who is one of the top prospects in boxing right now.
Yeah. I agree with you. But I have known Austin for a long time, and he's one of the good guys of the sport. Also, he was also, at one time, I thought, one of the more talented guys in the sport. Yeah. He was one of your sparring partners, wasn't he?
Yeah, I got mutual respect. He was in my training camp for 2 months, and he was fun to spar. Hard to catch, but, he was a good down-to-earth, humble, everything else, and he worked his ass off. I give him, a lot of credit. When I trained, my training was like 7 hours a day. It was a job, and especially for the Martinez fight, because our main time training was to get weight off. But Austin Trout was with me. He could have came to the gym, got paid, did his sparring, and gone home or go back to his hotel room and sleep, but he was at the YMCA. He was powerlifting. He was doing everything with me. Dedicated kid, dedicated fighter.
And on top of that, Austin Trout is, distracted with the lawsuit that's going on. He filed a lawsuit against the World Boxing Organization for $40 million based on claims that he was taken out of the rankings for no reason. Looking at the case, I don't think he's going to win it, and I think it's going to weigh a lot on him. I think that in my mind, if you're filing a massive, this big of a lawsuit, $40 million, it's a sign to me that you're afraid that your career is about to be over.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, and so that's going to weigh a lot on him. And again, I think Jarrett Hurd's can have an easy win.
Yeah.
Look, I got a question on that real quick since that's brought up. How come people could fucking you could get a guy trying to break into somebody's house, and if he falls through the window and gets cut and breaks his leg on your kitchen floor, he could turn around and sue you and win. But fighters turn around, or everybody can sue for anything and win, but a boxer, a guy fighting, putting his health on the line, cannot win in any case. And I'm speaking out of experience. Anytime they try to follow a notion or fight against something or a suit, the fighter stands no chance. Even if they have a great attorney, has no chance to fucking win.
Ironclad contracts, man. Their attorneys
I know,
are amazing.
Obviously, man, shit.
They're asking.
I think there's a lot of discrimination against boxers, and of course, you have the Muhammad Ali boxing reform law. Everyone touts it as it's amazing. Look, Muhammad Ali boxing reform law doesn't really do anything. If you have a piece of paper that says, you can't do this, you can't do this, well, a piece of paper means absolute crap if you don't enforce the law. If you just say you can't do this, it reminds me, I'm going to bring up a history lesson. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Yeah, their head guy promised President Carter that he wouldn't invade.
Yeah. And
then he did. And then President Carter called him up and asked him, "What? You told me you weren't going to invade." "Yeah, I lied to you. What are you going to do about it?" No. Basically, it comes back to the same thing. You have to have not just legislation, but you have to have people actually enforcing the legislation. Yeah. And right now, that's not what we have.
Exactly. Yeah. It's true. It's true. And do you think maybe the boxing should be more federally watched over? Do you think that's what it needs? It needs that federal reform that that John McCain's been talking about for 25 years?
You'll never see it.
No.
The problem is that when you talk about, the federal government getting involved, the federal government itself shouldn't even be involved in boxing. But when you have the kind of problems that exist, it kind of calls for government oversight. But at the same time, government tends to be very inefficient anyway.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts you in a box.
Yeah. No,
that's true. Kelly, you're being asked, how do you feel about strength and conditioning coaches taking over in boxing?
Obviously you need it. I think it's very important for a fighter to have a really good strength and conditioning coach. Obviously, that is, in my opinion, the most important part of getting into a fight.
But does he need it?
Yeah, you do. You have to have it the right way too. What a fighter, it's a fine, tedious training that you have to do, and have it right. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to get too strong. You don't want to put too much muscle, but at the same time, you want to get strong. This day and age, you want to use the fast twitch muscles, the small muscles, and also at the same time, we're still being able to make weight, and not only make weight in the lower weight class that you could get to, but to be able to keep the energy and strength and everything else to be able to fight 36 minutes at a high rate. So yeah, it comes in as very, very important. Yes, anybody could go and weigh 155 pounds going into camp and get down and fight at 130. But how are you going to fight? How are you going to be the night of the fight? So yeah, I think it's important, but at the same time, I think people need to watch the background of these people coming in, because there is things that are starting to happen in boxing.
There's some snake oil salesmen involved in it. But also, people are going to throw out, well, back in the 1930s and 1940s, they didn't or 50s, they didn't have strength and conditioning coaches. But it was a different type of athlete back then.
Exactly.
The athletes nowadays are a little more fine-tuned and are a little more needy when it comes to
the speed of the game and the power of the game has changed.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, the guy didn't have a strength and conditioning coach, but neither did his opponent.
Yep.
So
exactly.
that's the difference.
I would agree with
if
you.
I can also add, I got to give credit to Thomas Hauser. He's one of the most legendary boxing journalists in the world.
Yeah.
He beat me to this, but I wrote a story that perhaps we should let Luis Ortiz fight because there's not enough evidence. There's not enough evidence to indicate that he had intent to cheat. However, Hauser noted that the doctor that prescribed those medications to Luis Ortiz also has a sketchy past, and so that's one thing that Hauser added that I think all of us missed.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
That's another thing. I mean, there isn't evidence of indication to cheat, but there's enough suspicion surrounding it that it would be risky to allow Ortiz to fight. So that's my position is changed on that.
Yeah,
I think there's a fine line between it, though. I mean, not saying this because of my situation, but for instance, if they would let me have that inhaler, whatever steroid was in it to break up the congestion in the chest, it was going for naught. It was just fighting what I had going on. It was not enhancing me in any way in the fight. Now, if I didn't have bronchitis and a doctor didn't tell me I had bronchitis and I had taken that, then I can understand. I think it should all be checked and documented. High blood pressure, my God, the guy could fall out in the ring. Also, when you have high blood pressure, your heart works twice as fast to pump blood and to keep going, which is making you more tired because it's overworking. So if anything, he's going to be at a disadvantage in his fights as to where if he was able to take blood pressure medicine, now they're on the equal ball field. They're playing on the same field. You know what I mean? I think there's a fine line between what is really an enhancement. I mean, fuck, you got guys out there passing drug tests that are really taking enhancement drugs, and you got guys that really need to take it to be on a fair level of competition that are not allowed to take it.
They're asking, will Abner Mares be the machine he was? I think anytime you put a trainer like Robert Garcia in your corner, I think you have that possibility of being the fighter you once were. You are looking at a trainer, and I'm not just saying it because we love Robert, or you know what I mean, or we hold a Robert or anything like that, because we're not. I'm saying Robert Garcia is one of the best trainers in boxing today. And when you do have a trainer with that caliber, I think you can turn back the clock a little bit or look or learn something different.
And I agree with that, too, real quick. Robert Garcia is a busy man in boxing. He trains how many guys and prospects that he has coming up,
Over
along
50.
with the world champions. For him to take on a guy like that and train him, obviously there's something left in this guy's tank and some noise for the guy to make for Robert to take the time and work with him. So that right there tells you, because Robert won't, and Robert's very outspoken about that. If he ain't got the time or he can't work with you,
there's no talent there.
He's not going to fuck with you. So that just tells you right there, if Robert's working with him, there's something there.
Exactly.
But Ryan, is there anything else you want to throw in real quick before we get to this?
Well, another thing I can mention real quick here is, of course, you guys are going to be talking to Terence Crawford here in a bit. And Jeff Horn, we reported on this, Fight Nights.
Yeah.
I reported on this, I think, before anybody. So I think we reported on, Gary Cochran is going to get the fight against Horn.
Yeah.
In November. It should be an easy win for Horn. And, Bob Arum wants to set up a spring bout with him and Crawford. I know Manny Pacquiao is still in the mix, although I think Pacquiao's done. I think if Manny doesn't fight next spring, I think he's going to have to retire. He's going to be pushing 40, by next year.
Yeah.
And if he keeps up the same rate of inactivity, he looks really bad against Horn in the first fight, even though I thought he won it.
Yeah.
He looked bad. So he's about at the end of the line. In Crawford, if he can clean up under 47-pound division, I think he'll be the #1 pound-for-pound boxer.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I definitely concur on that.
And well, I mean,
right now, I have Triple G as the number 1 pound for pound guy. Don't kill me, Terrence, but if he can get a few big wins at 147, he's number 1 for sure.
Yeah. Because
if Canelo beats Triple G next fight, Crawford's going to be number 1 either way.
Okay, real quick, I got to hop in on this one. I'm sure a lot of people agree with you and have the same opinion as you do. I personally don't see it. I see a man who had 2 very controversial fights in his last 2 fights, and who did not dominate by no means. And other than that, those were the 2 biggest fights of his career, and one was still not really a middleweight, in Canelo, but Jacobs was. But Jacobs was not a top middleweight. I really can't put him pound for pound, because who are you going off of before that, and what are you going off of? I mean, these last 2 fights the Danny Jacobs was really a controversial fight to people. So, I mean, I don't know. That's my opinion on as far as him being a number 1.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I had him beating Jacobs by 2 points, I think, and he had the knockdown, which gave him the win. But I had a lot of people who had Jacobs up 1 point. I don't think it was I think a more of a controversial decision would be if it was wide for Triple G.
No, I agree with you. I had Triple G winning that fight, but if it wasn't for the knockdown, I had it a draw. And at the same time,
it would have been that way.
Yeah.
And I think Golden Boy, I think I've said this before, but Golden Boy underestimated Jacobs. And if Golovkin actually knocked out Jacobs, I don't think the Canelo fight would have even happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think you would have seen Jacobs and Canelo. But yeah, I do. But like I said, Ryan, it's always great to have you on the show.
Definitely.
It's an honor to have you on there, and your insight is far above a lot of other people we have on here. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime, and we hope to see you on your next commentary the week after next.
For sure, bud.
All right, thank you, man. And I will be at the StubHub Center this weekend on Saturday.
Okay.
I'm driving up on Saturdays with the Leo Santa Cruz, Chris Avalos, and Abner Mares, Andres Gutierrez. And last thing I got to say, thanks for having me on. And Abner Mares is going to have a tough fight against Gutierrez. Not a lot of people know about him, but he pushes hard and he attacks the body relentlessly. So it's gonna be a tough fight for him.
I agree. But yeah, and I'm sure we'll see you December 9th at the Lomachenko-Rigondeaux fight. We'll be there for that.
Actually, I don't think I'll be making that. I actually, our company, Jam7 Multimedia in Scottsdale, we got a 3-year deal with Roy Jones Promotions. So I will actually be in Austin, Texas the day before producing their fight in Austin. So I won't see you there, but perhaps for Wilder Severn 2, more like absolute destruction.
Well, we'll make that one happen. And like I said, great having you on, and look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, and we'll have you back on. So it's always great.
All right, sounds good, man. I can't wait to talk boxing again with you guys.
Anytime, and talk to you soon.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.
I was laughing. Do you remember when that FEMA thing came on, when they were doing that telethon? And
I think we missed a call.
Call back.
I don't know who that is, though.
It's probably him. It's probably Lee.
Oh, boy. I did not hear that one. Okay. Hold on. Go ahead. You keep talking. Keep everybody interested.
You want to
Colorado Springs? Who would that be?
What? Colorado Springs?
Yeah.
I don't know. Amy tried to call, so.
All right. No, but like on that, some of the things, I don't. Triple G to me, obviously he's top 4 or 5 pound for pound, but I don't have him number 1.
No, but I was. Go ahead. We have another guest on, so
we're hoping
it's Lee or either Terrence, one of the two. We don't have bill collectors. Only I do. Kelly don't.
They better not have any.
702.
Okay. This might be Terrence's agent. Amy, what's Terrence's agent's number?
Let's Julie.
Julie calling for Terry. Yeah, she didn't answer.
The call never went. The call didn't go through. Terrence's call didn't go through. We didn't hear it click in, so we'll try to get in touch with him here in a little bit. But like I was thinking of, when I started laughing, do you remember that FEMA commercial when what's his name? The rapper that's married to Kardashian. What's his name?
Oh, fucking
Kanye. Kanye.
Are they getting a divorce now or something?
I don't know.
I think so.
Kanye said,
Kanye.
he said, George Bush don't like black people. I was thinking about when Kelly was looking crazy. I was going to say, Donald Trump don't like Mexicans. It went through my head. I was dying. She said 2 minutes early.
Hello. Yeah, Julie, we are actually on the show right now. Yeah, if he's available, that'd be great. Oh, okay, thank you. Bye. She's going to let Terrence know now to call into the show.
Terence Crawford is calling in early, and that is awesome.
You know what's great about this show? People get to see that, too. I mean, that's like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How we get these guests and
see, it's accessible. They can call, like, you guys can call the same number that Terence Crawford calls in to talk. So, which is really awesome. Well, yeah.
You got fucking balls. They call your phone. They call the same. They call your same number.
Put it out on the thing. Put it in the. Put Kelly's number out on top of the screen.
Dude, I will go to AT&T and have all these people's fucking numbers and names attached to these numbers to know.
I thought Kelly was a dick. I do that to him. I like him too much.
Alicia said, Alicia's coming to visit us in Ohio.
Yeah, she got reamed out.
She got in trouble for that. Hey, show. We're Terence Crawford.
Hello. Yes, we are. Thank you so much. Okay.
Terence?
Yeah.
Okay, you got him, guys.
Hey, Terrence, welcome to the Punchline with Kelly Palwick and James Dominguez. And it's an honor to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, how's everything going? What do you got going? You want to let the fans know?
You said how everything is going. What else?
Yeah, and let the fans know what you got going on.
Oh, nothing. Not too much. Just been spending the quality time with the fam, fishing, and just enjoying this downtime.
We and Kelly were talking about you the other day, and we were so impressed with the way you fought against Ndongo, just the way you dispatched him. We haven't seen that kind of fight in a long time where somebody made it look so easy. What were you doing different in training, or what did you add to your training?
He had that body shot.
Yeah.
Nothing different, We didn't change anything, bro. We just, wanted to capitalize on his movement and his rhythm from the jump and jump on him in the beginning rounds because we know he liked to come out fast. So I think we executed our game plan to a T.
Yeah. And one thing that a lot of people talk about you is you're never close to not making weight. You're disciplined. That's just one of the things about you. What kind of food are you putting into your body and your eating schedule? What's all of that about?
I got a nutritionist that provide me with, a meal plan, and I got meals that come in from Eat Fit Go from Omaha, and so I eat pretty healthy in camp.
And when you're off camp, do you still eat healthy, or do you kind of splurge a little bit?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say I splurge, being that I don't eat beef or pork, so can't go wrong with that. So
yeah,
I did.
But sometimes I might want, some lasagna or something with a lot of starch and stuff. But other than that, I'm pretty cool. I don't like too much fried food no more, so I like more baked and boiled
Yeah, see, I did. After a fight, man, I ate. I said, "Fuck that." I ate. I splurged. I took showers in grease and oil, and bacon lard.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
I paid for it when I got back in a training camp.
That's why Kelly was 210 pounds when he started camp against Sergio.
Yeah, that's too much weight to be losing.
Yeah.
No, but you know, I watched some videos of you as an amateur, and your style changed almost 180 degrees. How hard was that to adapt and make that change to your style?
Not at all. It wasn't hard at all, being that I always had the pro style.
Yeah.
For this boxing stuff, but I had to change my style up to the point system. I had to play the pity pat and throw a lot of punches that didn't mean anything just to get points and move and point and move and point and move. But once I turned professional, I was already in the season because of the type of people that I was sparring with.
Yeah. Well, you learn, the whole thing kind of slows down, I would imagine, too, when you get into pro training. Now you're training for, 3-4 minute rounds, and then 3 6-minute and 8. So, yeah, you kind of slowly sparring, gets a little longer. Hey, Terence, we got a question from a couple of people that watch the show. The one guy wants to know a question that you always get asked. Who would you like to fight next at 147?
Who would I like to fight next?
Yeah.
Anybody with a belt. Anybody.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, yeah. And also, it says, Terence, do you like to go the distance and show skills, or do you just like to hand out punishment and just end it?
It depends. How the fight going, or the type of person that I'm fighting. But in honesty, if I can get the fight over in the first round, I love to get each and every fight over in the first round.
Yeah, it's a lot safer.
That's just me.
I want to tell you a story.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
So, that, real quick before I forgot, that's funny, Terence, because, that's a question that fighters get asked, and I was the same way. Like, man, if I got to get punched in my snout, my body, you know what I mean? If I can get somebody out of it, the quicker, always the better. Especially, even if you're having an easy fight, you get in your rhythm and you're having fun in there. But at some point, you're kind of like, I never like breathing heavy. No matter if it took to the 8th round, it was a pain in the ass. So, I mean, of course, you wanted to, end it.
Well, I had a meme story with Terence.
What?
And you never know what may happen in there.
Exactly.
You didn't see people win the fight a whole 11 and part of the 12th round, and then get knocked out, or something bad happen, they get elbowed to the eye, or anything can happen in boxing.
And with these judges now, who really wants to leave it in the hands of them?
Yeah.
Right.
And
that too.
It's true. And Terence, by the way, I was going to tell you, this is James Dominguez on the Punchline, by the way. We were Facebook friends a couple years ago. And I guess I put a bunch of crazy memes on there, and you deleted me, and then you wrote on your page, I gotta find better Facebook friends.
Well, maybe you was one of those guys that was too negative.
I wasn't negative. It's just the memes I put on were crazy. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, I was in my feelings for about 3 weeks on that one. I go, Terence deleted me, man. But yeah, it was all good. But it was a great story.
I'm about to delete him, Terence, so don't feel bad.
But yeah, like I said, you're one of our. Personally speaking, you're one of my favorite fighters out today, and Kelly, we talked great about you on the show, and
I got mad respect for what you do in the sport, man. Mad respect. So.
I mean, for you to put a city like Omaha, which is not a fight city, to actually put that city on the map is amazing.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, thanks.
Yeah, and I know you want to go.
Kelly put his city on the map too, ain't that right, Kelly?
I sure did. It was at a really well needed time too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an honor to be able to talk with you and share with you some things, and we'd love to have you back on. So let you get back with your family. Thanks again for coming on the show. We really, truly appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
It's an honor, champ. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
All right, my man.
That was Terence Crawford, the pound for pound champ. I mean, for most of us, I have him #1 for pound right now. So.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, it's great to have him on the show.
Up there. Again, you know, this is crazy in boxing because there's just so many openings for anybody to grab that #1 spot, though.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of big fights still.
But you have to reach out and grab it. A lot of fighters today aren't reaching out and grabbing that.
No. Well, they know what? Actually, they kind of are, though. I mean, you're starting to see these big
now
fights.
They are.
Yeah, you're seeing Rigondeaux, Lomachenko. You've seen Triple G, Canelo.
Where do you put Mikey at on that pound for pound list now?
I still got Mikey in the top 5, and that may be, you know, somebody that really knows the sport could really sit there and
with Lenard, with the win over Lenard, I think he moves to 4, 3.
Yeah, somebody could put a lash into me, though, be like, you're just totally being biased because. No. But I overall think of what his fighting ability that he could be in the top 5.
Where's Alicia's coming to visit? Can Willie come on the show right now?
Sure.
When Alicia comes to visit, we're gonna put Willie P. Jenkins. Here comes Willie, guys. This is the third host of the show.
Ryan said about StubHub. So I'm about to go home and hub my stub.
Look at the Will. He's drinking coffee today, and
I got my coffee, man.
Yeah, that's Alicia said she was coming, so Willie P. Jenkins came out because Willie has to see Alicia.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna get some of that.
Is Bud ambidextrous? Yes, Mac, he is. He can fight either way. He does switch a lot during the fights. Kelly, you were ambidextrous.
Yeah, early in the career I did. I didn't change much though. You know, towards the end. The thing with changing though, and that's a funny thing right there. Even if a guy can change, a lot of times though, I would say 99% of the time, if you see a fighter change stance and go from southpaw to orthodox or vice versa, chances are they are getting tired.
Yes.
That's probably what it is. They try to break it up. It actually gives a little break in certain parts of the body when they change it up because it's getting tight, cramp, muscle fatigue. So that's why you see a lot of people change up their stance from orthodox southpaw or vice versa, believe me.
Or they're getting hit and they're looking for something to change and they don't have an answer.
No.
They're not getting an answer in the corner, so they're saying, I've seen one too many Rocky episodes where they told him to change, so I'm going to fucking change, and normally it doesn't work like that.
But that don't make sense because you obviously you switch to a stance that you're not used to.
Exactly.
And you're not used to seeing punches from that stance. So most of the time it is because somebody's starting to get tired.
Pasco says promoters are keeping the best fighters away from each other. Top rank. You know, in the 90s, that was an excuse, Pasco, but they're not doing that anymore.
No, they're fighting.
They're fighting. The thing is this. The money has to be right. At the end of the day, it's all about the money. No promoter is going to put their house guy against someone else's house guy where they're going to lose for $700,000 or $600,000 and they lose interest in that guy.
It's a business, but you're going to see the best fights get made, though. I mean, they're starting to do it. Hopefully, this is not just a little flick where this shit's happening. Hopefully, this continues to happen in boxing. But right now, there's nothing you can say about the year of 2017 in boxing and the beginning part of 2018. You can't.
Damon says, Kelly, how would you have Spence versus Bud? I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say Spence. Spence is a bigger man.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen of Spence, Jesus. You know what, Kelly? He was every bit as wide as you.
Yeah.
I mean, in your career, not like now, but he's a big dude, man.
Yeah, Spence, right? That's just hard to mess with him right now.
They said, how did we have Campbell and Lenars? I have Lenars up by a round.
With Cotto off the table, is Danny Garcia next for Mikey? They've been talking about that now for some time, making that fight happen. We don't know, but I mean, it sounds like it's close, and then it's not. But it's being discussed, so obviously there is some interest in that fight happening. But
from what I've heard on the Cotto thing, it's not going to happen. The fight is a reach to see what can be put out for Mikey. You know what I mean? It's discussed. But really, do you want to see a guy 135, 140 fight a middleweight? No. I mean, really.
It's a dangerous fight for Mikey.
Whether Mikey wins or loses, he's not going to get credit. They're going to say, he beat an over-the-hill Cotto, right? Yeah. And if Cotto wins, they're going to say, he beat a small Mikey. there's no juice in the fight. There's nothing in there. There's nothing to gain from the fight other than brain damage.
Yeah, that's what I said with when Ryan was on about Cotto's career. You know, like, why take that fight with a Denny or who Cotto?
Yeah.
Or not Cotto. Who the fuck were we talking about? But for Cotto to take a fight with a big name,
yeah.
You know, like, why?
And they said Mikey going to 147. Not right now. He's not going to 147. He's barely had his first fight at 140.
Yeah.
They talked about you. He tried to buy your autograph in Paducah, Kentucky, and they wouldn't sell it to him at some pool hall. Jeffrey.
Down in there in Kentucky, they keep my merchandise.
Alicia said, "Holy shit, there's Willie." Yeah, he was out for you, Alicia.
He was smelling that red snapper and carp.
Amy, what am I right about? Because I'm never right about anything.
If GG breaks B-Hop's title defense record, will GG move up? He may have to at some point. I mean, if you want to stick around for that record, then he's not going to get many big fights.
No, but...
if he really wants to go down in boxing as that guy, where there ain't he may have to move up. But obviously, there's not really many at super middleweight right now.
I'll tell you what is exciting, though. In 2 weeks, we're going to be back in the ring again.
He is.
We're going to be back in the ring again doing what is that? Technique Tuesday with Kelly, right?
Yep, in the ring.
In the ring. With
Technique Tuesday.
I was sore. I was fucking tired the next day. I was sore, too. Body was sore.
I know. I seen when we were in there, I hit you in one body shot. You blocked it, but your tampon came out.
My what? My hip?
Yeah, your tampon.
I did block the body shot, but my tampon did pop out. I think my hip popped out the back of my asshole, too, man. It hurt. I don't even noticed it. It went, whop! That punch went, whop! That went,
fucking.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate it. Kelly will take care of you on that autograph, all right, buddy?
It was discolored, Justin.
It was what color?
It was discolored.
He hit me and my hip popped. I was like, what the fuck? He hit me in my own elbow hit me in the ribs. I was like, Jesus Christ, that hurt. I had these little bruises all over me. I was like sleeping with the enemy. You know what I mean? Like fucking domestic violence in the ring.
I'm coming out when my head is healed. Or my hand is healed. Come on.
Damon's gonna
wants to talk all that shit.
He wants to participate.
You want Technique Tuesday?
Did you have any regrets when you retired, Kelly, or were you happy to be out of the sport by then?
No, I was done. I was. I missed it. Don't get me wrong, and yeah, you get the itch, but again, there was, and people don't remember it. They forget. There was no big fights out there for like a year or so. You know, you had the Butte fight, but that fell through with the fucked up shit that happened in Youngstown. Yeah. As far as the fight that I was supposed to have, and the bullshit that was behind that fight, and not getting my fight contract for up to like a week before. Nobody was telling me anything. There was other people involved that wasn't supposed to be involved that I didn't know about, and I threw the fight out. I said no, that was it. I went through the training camp knowing I wasn't going to take the fight, but no, you know, you get the itch, but no, I don't regret it. You know, just kind of lost a little bit for it. That happens. I mean, you have a lot of fighters that retire early.
You were pro for 13 fucking years. I mean,
just almost 13, yeah.
Yeah, my future wife Gina Davis got on here and said Omar Figueroa versus Mikey. Come on, Gina, why do you want Omar beat up like that? Omar hasn't learned to move his head yet, you know, and a guy like Mikey would just beat him down.
Yeah,
because he hasn't learned to move his head yet, and he's still. I mean, last fight Omar showed how undisciplined he was. He's a lightweight and had to come down from 190 or 200 pounds, was it? 200 pounds to lightweight. You know, he's a guy like Mike. He's just too disciplined and too technically superior.
Yep. Major on Kelly and James. What are the fights you want to see more made personally? Jeffrey, no, there ain't no chance of that, buddy. Do you guys think it would be good for boxing? No, nothing like the UFC. We don't want that, King William. You want to answer that one, Daymorts?
Yeah, let me say this one. For a fight against Conor McGregor, I would push Kelly into the ring with a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, I would take that.
Kelly would take a fight with Conor McGregor. Let that be said.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't even run or train for that.
Yeah, you would train.
No, I wouldn't.
I'd want you to train at least for 3 rounds.
Fuck, I bet you I'd go. I wouldn't get tired as quick as he did.
We'd have to train to cut weight to get you down to 20 pounds.
Oh,
yeah, it's easy. But see, Kelly would take the fight against Conor and beat the shit out of him.
Dude, they would have to put a muzzle on me so I don't kiss him.
My Army boxing teammate and my friend Simon wants to know, what are your thoughts on Andre Ward retiring and leaving money and fights on the table?
He made money, more money than anybody else will make. A lot of people. He fought everybody. He had a very good career. He is no spring chicken in the sport of boxing by no means, and he had nothing left absolutely at all to prove to anybody, or nor owes anybody anything. I mean, I think the guy should be, if anything, patted on the back for the career that he had and for what he gave the sport of boxing.
Yeah. Gina, my future wife's back.
You said that last time she got off.
Yeah, she left. So I don't blame her. Shit. She's like, what? Speaking of trannies, does Heyman really partake? I don't have no idea. I ain't saying shit. I don't know. Kelly would need to lose more than 20 pounds. No, Kelly's about right. What are you, 215 right now?
I'll be 200.
He's 200.
If I lost 20 pounds, I'd be 200.
Yeah, well, Conor walks around about 190.
That's Tyler Spencer. That fucker's bottom lip weighs as much as I do.
Mikey beat Lucas up. It keeps freezing me, sorry. Sure it does, Gina. Sure it does. You're the worst future wife ever.
Yep. Starting off bad, James. I let that one go. If it comes back, then you know.
And then you come back, it was yours to begin with, right?
Yep.
On me.
Yeah, he would like to be on you.
Wheelchair and all. No, like.
Oh, that's Gina.
Yeah, you know Gina.
Cutie.
Yeah. Thoughts on Carlos Adames? You know what, Jesus, I haven't seen enough of him to know. Oh, El Finito joined best out of San Antonio. I don't know who that is. Christine? Oh, I love Christine Lopez.
Come back at heavyweight. I may one day.
Come back at heavyweight.
I'll get to Latimer's age.
Jeffrey said she doesn't deserve me. You're right, Jeffrey.
Latimer's how old? About 46?
Is Usyk overrated? Or does the cruiserweight division suck? Let me tell you something, Damon, about Usyk. Usyk is a fucking beast. We've watched the guy train. I've watched the guy train in Oxnard. Kelly's met him. We both met him. The guy is the real deal.
He's a beast at a weight class
that's a weak weight class.
Yeah.
But would Usyk do well at heavyweight? Yes.
He may, but again, you get guys. No, well, Usyk's a big kid too, though.
Well, is it 6'3"?
Yes, even if he was 6'2", I mean, Holyfield was 6'2".
Yeah.
I think Usyk and fought at a smaller weight class naturally when he turned pro. I think overall,
he was light heavyweight.
He was super middleweight. Holyfield's
light heavy.
We have to go back to boxing because I thought he had
light heavyweight.
I thought he turned pro at super middleweight.
Light heavy. 175.
Okay, well, and Usyk is
he was the heavyweight. He was the gold medalist at 178.
Yeah, but Usyk's taller, naturally bigger. Yeah. So Usyk stands a really good chance at the heavyweight division.
Usyk is crazy. I think he'll be good at heavy. I would say with the way the heavyweight division is, why not? You know, anything's possible.
That's why Brian Banks Dirt says giggity, and then Alicia goes on right after him.
Robert trains him. Hector Tenar. Yeah, I know that. And Josh Franco. Yep, he does. He does, Alicia. I've seen them both in the gym.
Yeah, he does. Jeffrey Usyk does have James.
But she would make a great single parent. Alicia would make a great single parent.
She already does.
She already is a single parent. She already is a single parent.
She has a single kid.
She has 2 or 3.
Broner versus Khan.
Christine said, "Don't forget Bam."
I think Khan's done.
I think Broner could beat Khan. Who is our pick to win the 168 Super Series? Who's fighting in that?
I didn't even know they were having one, to be honest with you.
What the hell? Hey, don't blame us, Alicia. Willie's out.
Willie's chilling.
Well, anyway, let me tell you what happened, guys. Alicia said she's going to come visit and do some business, help out with the show and stuff. We're like, hey, come on out, you know. She got a message from her boyfriend online cussing her out, or the guy she's talking to, and that is fucking hilarious.
That is fucking great. Because she's seen she was talking to James about coming out
for a show.
Couldn't wait to be around him
and Kelly and
about you.
Well,
and,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Misha, you got dropping insecure.
He got butt hurt, man.
Yeah, he got easily.
You know, I said, why do you got to date a? I asked her. I said, why do you date fags?
Dude, he was. I guess he was already here in Youngstown last night, waiting outside of the RV.
Well, he probably was the one that took the speaker off.
Yeah, he beat her. Yeah, he beat her here.
He said, "Bitch, if you go, I'm gonna knock your head between the washer and dryer."
We're about to make you another kid.
Brian, it's not a Filet-O-Fish, it's Willie. Have some respect, damn it.
She doesn't make it here. We'll know to point.
Alexander Gazovdik, he's amazing. He's probably the best, one of the best light heavyweights out. Roger trains him. The Nail. You remember the Nail?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh my God. Date fags. She does date fags. He goes, yeah, I mean, to get mad about somebody wanting to do some work for somebody, how bad do you gotta be? You know what I mean?
That's just silly. It doesn't matter anyway. You can't date somebody that's that insecure.
You can't go to another state and work for somebody.
Let's let everybody hear you on this.
Oh, they can hear me.
They can hear him.
They can hear me.
Yeah. Our producer's saying what he feels on the situation.
That's a good mic.
Was Arturo Gatti your toughest fight? I don't think you ever fought Arturo Gatti.
Who asked that? James Reese. Yeah. He was
He thinks you're Mickey Ward.
He kept coming.
He thinks you're Mickey Ward.
What guy sucks, Daymart?
Oh, the guy that Alicia is dating or talking to. Who is currently the best at heavyweight? I'm going to say Anthony Joshua right now.
See, I have a hard time saying. I just don't think there's really that many. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean, but I just don't think there is anybody really good at heavyweight.
No, but if you have to pick one, the leader of the division.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's
Who do you like in the Kovalev fight? Depends what Kovalev shows up. The Kovalev that's not drinking vodka and smoking Marlboros, or the Kovalev that only drinks vodka. Which Kovalev is coming? Gotti, sometimes fans of the punch. Simon. We know James is not a Wilder fan. You know what, Amy? I gave him a chance, but you know what? I'm going to say, I talked this weekend to an Olympic official. I'm not saying any names, but she was an Olympic official. She was on the team. Her job was to take care of the Olympians. She said Wilder was the biggest fucking asshole on the team.
Okay, but now you're taking this. That is the he said, she said.
Oh, no. If you know, wait a minute. It's not he said because it comes directly from the source, right? It didn't say the source told her. The source told me directly that we're. Okay. You know what I mean? He was a big fucking asshole. And has he done anything to prove otherwise that he's not a big fucking asshole?
I don't get involved in that.
I know, but I do.
I know that how shit goes. But no, but if it came from who we...
It came from you know who. It came from the source.
That's very reliable.
She's the... Yeah. She worked with the Olympic team. How tough is Arturo Gatti?
Obviously, he was a bad dude. When I say bad dude, not like ninja skills. I'm saying like he when you fought Arturo Gatti, you knew that you were going to be in a fight and you better be in great shape. And that you might possibly have a war on your hand besides Lester Mayweather.
Well, Mickey, how did you feel on your third fight with him? Because he thinks you're Mickey Ward.
Well, I parked my car in the yard, and I would run around the yard for training. And sometimes I go to the bar, throw darts,
James said he don't think you're Mickey Ward. Okay, all right, James. We're just fucking with you, buddy. But you thought he fought Gotti, right? He parked that car in the bar.
In the front yard. I'm from New Hampshire.
Let me say, Mickey Ward and Kelly were about 30 pounds apart.
And 8 inches.
But when you guys were out weighing more, Gotti probably did outweigh you by about 10, 15 pounds.
When
you guys weren't fighting.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big dude, man.
You got in shape quick, though.
That's Lee.
All right, we got Lee on the phone.
We got Lee Samuels, Vice President of Communications from Top Rank.
Hey, Lee Samuels, you're on the punchline with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
How was Terence?
He was great. Thank you for setting that up for us.
Oh yeah, he's a tough cat. He can really fight.
Yeah.
And Kelly, it's great seeing you at the MGM with in the press room there, and then I saw you the night that Lomachenko fought in Maryland.
Washington, yeah.
With that MGM property there. They're two great fighters. The boxing writers of America just did her first pound for pound rankings and had Crawford 1 and Lomachenko 2. So we're fortunate to promote both those fighters. Hey, Kelly, I was thinking about you today. I was thinking about Caesars Atlantic City and that Ocean Ballroom, a ballroom at Caesars, which we did press conferences, which overlooked the ocean. It was beautiful. And the Palladium Ballroom was there where we did press conferences and weigh-ins. And we really haven't been back to Atlantic City since you left there. I think you were back there in like 2010 was your last time there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Now that's funny you say that too, because I was just wondering. I don't see too many fights at all in Atlantic City anymore.
No, there's fights at the Claridge, the club shows. See about 900 seats, and they sell out every show. I know we want to go back there. Because we want to have an East Coast presence. We do a lot of shows at the Garden, as you know.
Yeah.
But when I first started working for Top Rank in 1983, I was assigned to the Thursday night ESPN show, and we were headquartered at Resorts International, and then we went to the Sands Hotel. So it was Bruce Trampler, myself. Michael Buffer, Al Bernstein were on that show for about 3 years, and it ran out of Atlantic City.
Yeah,
they were good days.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the contingent that came from Youngstown and the amount of people that, it was a great time. And for me, one of my guys, Lee, that I always followed before I won the world title was Toro Gotti, and of course we know that was his home spot. And
yeah, it wasn't a summer Atlantic City unless Gotti fought.
Yeah.
Like he would fight like late July, August, and he just action fighter. He and Mickey Ward hooked it up a few times, and you're right about that. He made it work. He made everything tick there.
I'll say that September 29th of 2007 was pretty rowdy, though, as far as people being there, too.
Isn't that fortuitous? We were just talking about Ward and Gotti just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Oh, your fight against Jermaine?
Yeah, that wow.
Yeah, I never forget. Promoter Lou DiBella was pacing back and forth in the boardwalk mid-afternoon. He was so nervous, but I wasn't that nervous, and I'm sure you weren't either. You took care of business, and you beat him twice, and you had a tremendous career. And I just remember that when you fought Atlantic City, a lot of the Youngstown fans were there, and they were fun to be with, and they hit those tables pretty good.
Yeah, they did. They hit everything pretty good.
Hey James, I know you served in Iraq, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my son, I have a son. He's a lieutenant colonel. He was in the Iraq invasion, and he was in long range artillery.
Okay.
But he told me. He told me he saw his first robots there.
Yeah.
They had these small robots which went into places they didn't know if anyone was inside or not, but he probably saw them too.
Yeah, they look like little tiny tanks with an arm and a little claw. And what they would do is for roadside bombs or things that we couldn't see, they would roll into there and they would pick up whatever it was. And if they blew up, you knew that.
Yeah.
But I was there for the invasion in 2003, 2004 myself. I was with the.
Oh yeah, my son went to San Antonio and trained long range artillery. It's all computers, as you know.
Yeah.
And he was actually far behind the lines in a trailer.
Yeah.
Launching weapons and.
He was part of that LRP.
First when they first went in.
Yeah, they call those machines. They're called like LRP people. They're like long range reconnaissance machines. Those are far back, but they can see everything in real time. They're amazing. I'm going to tell you, my test scores weren't that high, so I was in the infantry. So they have to speak slower to me.
Yeah,
I was a paratrooper.
Hey Kelly, I had a problem in the service. Kelly?
Yes.
I had a problem. I was in National Guards. I was in 6 months training, and I couldn't take my gun apart and put it back together again. I just couldn't do it, right? So the other guys, they do it for me. say I called in, they said, "You're not a very good soldier," and
yeah.
What can you do?
I think that was a
write,
part of the job, wasn't it?
I can write, and then they gave me a driver and a Jeep, and I did a newsletter. I was in a tank outfit. I drove tanks.
Yeah.
And so I worked out pretty well. I just couldn't get that gun apart or together. James, you probably did, knowing you.
You know what, Lee? I'm going to be honest with you. That wasn't my strong point either.
Kelly,
that's like
these things were 1,000 pieces, man.
My strong point was leadership. Was leadership. Don't do as I do as I say. Jay
was good at telling people how to. Hey, it's time to clean your gun.
Oh, can you show me how to do it? Yeah, let me get somebody to do that for you. But no,
Kelly, how do you look at the boxing landscape today? Which fighters do you like, and which fights do you want to see?
You know what, Lee? I've been very impressed this year. Going in, obviously with Top Rank and just the promotional overall. I see big fights happening, which is great. We've heard for over years not a big fights being made and whatnot. I don't think anybody who's a big boxing fan this year has any room to bitch. And that's with taking out the Mayweather-McGregor fight. I'm talking about all the other fights that have taken place, the real fights, and there's still more to come. I'm just excited. I mean, I really am. Obviously,
well, I'm going to share something with you guys, and we found this in our ratings for our ESPN series, where, as you know, a lot of people don't buy cable anymore, but they do get ESPN. So we looked at the ratings for Pacquiao Horn. For the first time, we saw we did very well in 18 to 31 young fans, which we had not been getting on premium cable.
Yes.
So, and this is continued in the next two shows we're doing. It's great that we're doing great ratings in that area, that 18 to 31, which it's great to have young fans watching our fights. And I think when you have fighters like Crawford and Lomachenko, hey, Kelly, you fought some tough guys. You fought a lot of tough guys. And that Ndongo, who fought Crawford, he destroyed two champions making his way towards Nebraska. And he had, you're a champion. He had no problem going to Nebraska to fight Crawford. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's I gave.
He's a champion, right?
Yeah, I thought, and that's why I thought that fight was. I think he might have been overlooked by a lot of people. However you pronounce his last name, Ndongo.
But Brian McIntyre, he discovered, he had long, powerful, awkward punches. Yes. Came from every direction you can imagine. But so when he wound up, then they told Crawford just go right to the body and hit him to the body early. He was a really tall fighter. And by hitting with the body brought him down, brought his body down to Crawford's level.
But I don't, let's be honest on that point. I don't think that was the exact plan, or that's how he pictured that happening. I think that was a reflex shot, which was nice though, because he obviously worked on staying to the body, and he landed that nice. But yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I thought that was going to be a better fight than what it was.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I was in a ring with Ndongo, who was a really, really nice person. He came from a very, very small town in Africa, and because he got the opportunities, he beat these champions.
Yes.
And he said, when he got hit, I said, "What's going on?" He said, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't think, the same thing I heard from Nicholas Walters when he got stopped by Lomachenko, when Lomachenko hit him in a right temple, and just Lomachenko picks out different body parts, Kelly.
Yeah, he does.
He says he never shows the same attack in every fight.
Yeah,
he wants to do either a heart punch, a body punch, a shot behind the ear. Kelly knows all the knockout spots.
Yeah,
and sometimes he takes his time doing it.
No, definitely. Lee, getting on to one thing before we get a couple more questions with you, but I wanted to touch on, and I'm not saying this because I was with your promotional company and to Bob Arum, Top Rank, which I do think right now is one of the better for any young kids coming up to get with, how they just bring you along and get you ready. But I think what you guys are doing with these ESPN shows is really huge for boxing. I mean, I just think you guys are doing a great job, to be honest with you, and I think that's what boxing needs. So I just wanted to.
Plus, we sent Brad Goodman to Rio, and we picked up Michael Conlon, as you know, Shakur Stevenson, and Michaela Meyer, an LA female fighter who's very, very good, and she's extremely popular already. Every fight we do on ESPN gets on some sort of ESPN platform, and like the show we're doing in Fresno, we have 2 title fights on that show, and then we go to New York. Well, the focus in New York is, you know what that is, Rigo and Lomachenko. But we're getting really high ratings early in the show. Well, we didn't get them before. None of my kids have cable. I'm like the older guy. I'm the oldest in the family. So what they do when I travel, they usually take cable out and give me Netflix and Hulu. Yeah. So I had to call the cable company because I want to see baseball and fights and stuff, and I put it back in. But I'm shocked that younger people just don't have it. Yeah. Just don't, and Kelly, and they don't seem to miss it.
It's hard to tell anymore with everything though that you got going.
There's so many distractions out there now. It's hard.
Yeah, like the other day, I was at a party and people had their phones watching like the baseball playoff games live video on their phones.
Yeah, Lee, I got DirecTV on my phone, and I thought I got the package to where I could watch the Big Ten Network last week when the Buckeyes were playing, and here I don't get it because my producer told me when we went to go get that. He told me what package to go with, and I explained to him specifically that I wanted it with the Big Ten Network, and he didn't get it for me. So,
yeah. Hey Kelly, when you first started fighting, when did you realize? I remember the meetings we had in our office. So you were knocking out people, and Bob had a lot of interest in that, particularly being from Youngstown. And when did you realize that you were going to be great? Which fight was it?
This is great, though. You can tell we got a reporter on there because
he's interviewing us.
We're supposed to be interviewing you, but you're interviewing us.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, Lee. That's a great question.
Lee, it's great.
Well, Lee, like you just mentioned, you were behind the scenes for a lot of my career.
I'm thinking Sertucci. I don't know.
Yeah, because we weren't really given many opportunities. I believe you were at the one press conference when they finally gave us right before the Zartucci fight, and you're right about that one. They said that that HBO don't like putting on a white kid from the Midwest. They don't. Yeah. They don't have faith in them, or they don't really invest.
The Rosenblatt syndrome.
Yeah, and I think that I knew right before that. I remember when I fought Zuniga for the NABF. I knew I was.
Oh
ready.
Yeah, right, Zuniga. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the Zartucci was.
What was your first fight with Top Rank?
I was for my pro debut. I signed with Top Rank and stayed with them my entire career.
Yep, and
first fight was.
I think you fought what 5 times in Atlantic City.
3 times, 3 times in Atlantic City. I fought Martinez, Hopkins, and first Taylor fight.
Right.
Oh no, 4. Right. I take that back. And Gary Lockett. We fought Gary Lockett there.
And what happened in the Hopkins fight? I talked to a trainer. Who was a trainer for Hopkins?
Nazim Richardson.
Yeah. And he this is what he told me, Kelly. He said they studied your video and then they put everything in reverse gear. They just switched. They did everything in reverse. Was that true?
Oh, I don't know what they did. I know what we had going on, but he was a smart fighter. Obviously, one of the greatest of all time. But in that fight, that was just not my night. Actually, Top Rank remembers this, and Stephen, Robert Garcia and Stephen Levin don't know. We put medications in their name, so Hopkins camp didn't find out. But no, that was the thing going in with Hopkins. Fighting a guy like Hopkins, our training camp was more based on what he was going to be doing as a strategic. Usually you go into camp, hey, this guy's got a really fast jab and he got a really sharp left hook and he hits hard.
Yeah,
that was kind of what you got ready for in most training camps. Hopkins was kind of like, we got to go to school.
Right.
We got to go to do academic classes today.
Yeah.
Well, I want to share something with you guys. When I was a little boy, we were very, very poor. We had no money, but when I look back on it, I didn't know we were poor because we never had anything.
Yeah.
But I had a radio, and on that radio, in that time in the '60s, I listened. They had Muhammad Ali fights on radio, right? And I was mesmerized by Ali, all the stuff he did. And I had a little bit. I bought the papers, read about Ali, and then I was working for a small newspaper, and I was sent to cover, I think, a fighter named Mike Rossman at the Garden. And I saw my first world champion, which was Rodrigo Valdez. And when I saw him come to the ring, and Kelly, you know this, when you're a champion, how you look, everything's perfect. Your outfit's perfect. You got that look, you're a champion. It sets apart the whole show.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I said, oh, my God. And I was like, when you see your first champion,
yeah,
it's really something to see. It doesn't matter who's in the undercard, right, Kelly? It's
no.
when you get in the ring, it's when the show starts.
Yeah, it was. You pay attention at some of the press conferences, and what you ran for me most of the time. But that's when you kind of pay attention. I forget. I was just talking to somebody at the fight, and I think it was Crawford, as a matter of fact, when I fought Espino in Youngstown. And I did not even realize that he was on my undercard. Now here's a kid right now that we are talking about being pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, and I didn't even know he was on my undercard. We had
well, let me tell you a story about Crawford. A company went out of business. I forget the name of the company. They couldn't pay their fighters in Anaheim. So Bob told the matchmakers, Bruce and Brad, go get like 10 fighters and see what we can do, right? In that mix was Crawford, a 4-round fighter. In that mix was Terence Crawford, and we hadn't heard of him. And so we sent him to Tim Bradley's camp to spar, right?
Yeah.
A week later, Bradley calls and said he'd like to buy his contract. And we said, no, we're kind of cool. We're going to keep him, right? In that camp, Bradley told Crawford, you're going to be a world champion and you're going to be a great fighter. You're a fighter, you know how it works. We're promoters. Exactly. We don't see things that quickly. And then basically with Crawford, there was a break in an HBO show, and Breedis Prescott had really destroyed some fighters. And we asked Crawford if he wanted to take that fight on short notice, like a week notice, and his manager, Cameron Duncan, said, no, I don't think so, he's not ready. But Crawford wanted the fight.
There's another great
Crawford took the fight and won every round. And that, because he took that there's a lesson for all the young fighters listening to this. If you get that opportunity and you think you can win, take that opportunity. And it just happened. There was a break in a show. And because of that, Crawford became who he is today.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's a great point that you brought up, Lee. I mean, people don't really understand, because when they watch, the casual fan, when they watch boxing, they just see a bunch of, they see a bunch of fights on TV, and they're cool with that. But how many millions, the hundreds of thousands of millions of fighters there is, and how hard. I mean, you got a window that is, when people say, like, you got a time frame or you got a small opportunity, nobody really understands in boxing how small that opportunity really is. And you're right. No matter if you're the most talented fighter in the world, if that window closes quick, And
well, I was fortunate. I as a writer, I covered some Ali fights. He was the greatest person I ever met, and he wasn't like what you saw at the end. In those days, there was maybe 1,000 press for a fight when he fought. And he told jokes. He did magic tricks. he made fun of his opponents, and he also made fun of the press. You guys can't write. We all agreed with him. He couldn't write. But he put a great show on. He was amazing. But when I first started with Top Rank on that ESPN series, after my third year, Bob called me and said, "You doing okay? We're going to give you a fighter to work with." And I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Marvin Hagler." I said, "What are we doing?" He goes, "We're fighting Leonard." I said, "Oh wow!" So we went to Palm Springs and set up a camp, and then I you know what, Kelly, I found out about champions, great champions.
Yeah.
I found out that just in my observations, and you fall into this category, I find that there's typically like a small group of people, like in the case of Hagler, it was Goody and Pat Petronelli, his brother Robbie Sims, maybe another sparring partner. And I find that even in your case, you had a small group around you. And I think those kind of groups, and on the other side, Pacquiao always had a bunch of people, and so did Jose, Chavez Sr. had a lot of people with him. But I find that really top teams, it's serious training, it's hard work, and they're by themselves.
Yeah. Well, you know, it keeps you humble, and there is less distractions. You know, an entourage, not knocking, obviously guys like Pacquiao and Mayweather have had him, and they're going to go down as Hall of Fame fighters. But everybody's different, you know. The less distractions I had, the happier I was. The less people I had to deal with. I mean, I had a hard time controlling the people that I did have. So, yeah. You know, like, it was, you're right about that, though, you know. And I think that's not tooting my own horn or anybody else, you know, but being humble or not being really materialistic. And I think using that term materialistic falls good into that, because a lot of people, when they have a big entourage around them, that makes them look flashy and big time, you know. But, you know, and again, that's not my place to say it, though, because Pacquiao's a very humble person, but he had a big entourage. So.
Yeah, I also saw something else. What I've seen, like one time I saw, I think it was Leonard trained out, no music, no nothing. In fact, it was one of those, it's like a slow motion.
Yeah.
Training where they're just what they're doing. Like one time I was in the gym in L.A. with Freddie. Pacquiao was going to fight Oscar, and the gym was empty. It was real quiet, no music, no nothing, and Freddie was showing Pacquiao, because Oscar has such a big left hand, how to move off the ropes. Don't be against the ropes. Get inside the. Freddie has a theory of boxing where he puts an imaginary square in the middle of the ring, and you stay inside that. You fight inside that square, and don't get caught again in a corner or a side rope.
Yeah, to touch on that real quickly, that's a really good point that you brought up, and I mentioned this not too long ago. First of all, with the imaginary square, yeah, you know, the first person, I was out in training camp, as a matter of fact, and I went to Chris Bird's house in Vegas, and he showed where they put a tire in the middle of the ring, and one guy put a foot in and the other put a foot in. But as far as the music, yeah, I didn't train very seldom. Like, if I got to the gym and there was already people training there, I'd never turn the music off, because I felt that would have been ignorant.
Right.
But when I was there and it was my time for, like, my big fights, yeah, I didn't train with music, because I always try to play as close to the fight as possible. I mean, when you're fighting, you don't got any type of music influencing anything that you're going to do. And I was able to just concentrate more on what I was supposed to do, instead of having the music and then having to really focus into what people were saying. I like to hear my sparring partner, how he was breathing. You know, I like the sound of my gloves going against somebody. You know, that was what I got out of it.
And I asked Freddie, who taught you that? He said, Eddie Futch. And, you know, as you know, Roach fought for us. He was the bravest guy in boxing. Yeah. He fought a lot of times on the road. He fought a lot of times at Showboat. But he never really made much money. But when he retired, he connected with Eddie Futch, because Maine you know, they have so many fighters. They need side trainers, right? They need side trainers. So, and then when Eddie passed away, he got that got those fighters. But by the way, you know, great walk-in fighters to a gym. Hagler walked into the Petronelli gym and said, "I can fight a little bit." Manny Pacquiao walked into the wild card. It was brought in by Michael Collins, and they want to get Freddie's opinion on how he is. So, and you know what you do when a fighter first comes to the gym? You just put him in the ring, right? And say, just what can you do? And Freddie knew it instantly with his speed and firepower. He knew what Pacquiao was in 2 seconds. By the way, I have a story to share with you guys. It involves going to a show and seeing a walkout fight in Phoenix. I was at Bruce Trampler. He says, "You're going to see something, but don't talk to anybody and keep quiet," which is hard, you know, as Kelly knows, right? So the last fight of the night, I see this fighter come in a ring, and we came specifically to see this walkout fight. And I saw firepower and smoke, and I said, "Oh my God!" He said, "Keep quiet." It was Diego Corrales.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Right, and I knew, right, Kelly? You can tell talent when you see it, right?
Oh yeah.
And matchmakers can for sure. So I saw him. He says, "I'll handle it. You sit over there." I said, "What do you do?" He said, "You never tell them how great they are."
Yeah. We know Bruce Trampler was notorious for letting that.
Yeah. Matchmakers, well, you can fight a little, you know. Yeah. But you know, I like watching. We have kids like Shakur Stevenson, Michael Conlon. I like to watch how they're developing. Yeah. It's a tough sport, and I know, and Kelly knows, and James, you know how hard it is to go from 4 rounds to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. It's very hard. It's very hard. We got 4-rounders. It's hard to move them to 6, right, Kelly? It's hard.
Yeah. And you know what's hard about that too is a lot of times you guys are not in the camps either, so you don't know how camp's going, if they're preparing the right way for that. You know, that's all up in the air at that point.
Well, you know, Bob, when Oscar fought for us, and by the way, people forget how great he was.
Yeah.
He ran the 90s.
He did.
He sold out every house.
Yep. Not everybody too.
Yeah, so he trained in Big Bear. So Bob would go with the matchmakers, you know, unannounced, just watch him train and stuff. And Bob is very good about that. And just to make sure he's training and talk to him, you need anything, are you okay? Because there's a lot of training camp injuries and stuff, and Oscar had a few of them. Yeah. But he never pulled out of a fight. And I'm telling you, he was a king of Vegas in the 90s. He ran everything. Another story I want to tell you guys. I was in Reno one night, and with George Foreman. He was fighting just a fight that at the end of his career. And someone said, "Hey, he's in a side room at the arena." I said, I go in there, I see all these. He's in the ring just shadowboxing with his trainer. I see all these kids in wheelchairs, probably 50 of them. So he comes down, and there's no media, there's nobody there, and he talks and hugs each child. That's amazing.
Yeah, George Foreman
didn't have to do it, you know.
He was a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
I see Mikey do it.
You know, he could still punch the way out. His last few fights, he could still hit hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fought. Didn't he fight Michael Moore at the end of his career? That was a big win.
He beat Michael Moore. He won the title.
Yeah. Well, Lee, I mean, my God, I'm sure in all the years, you know, you doing this, the stories that you got. Wow.
Hey, Cal, you owe me.
I owe you.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I worked one of your fights. I forget what town it was. It was so freaking cold.
Youngstown.
Was it Youngstown?
It was cold. It was ice cold. And I forget the location of the fight, but it was really cold. Might have been Ohio.
Probably Youngstown.
It might have been Youngstown.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been, or Struthers. It was the winter time for that one.
Yeah.
But here in Ohio, we get the worst of the worst. We get hot summers that are humid. and then we get freezing cold winters. Yeah. But we don't get earthquakes, hurricanes, wildfires, so we really can't complain too much.
Are there still club shows in Youngstown?
Yeah, we got a lot of you got a lot of people that just all of a sudden hopped on the scene to became boxing people. They're trying. Yeah, you got some local smokers.
Is Mike Savaldi doing anything?
He's doing amateur shows. These charitable ones. So it's good though. I guess overall, not poking fun. I mean, it's good for the fighters, the young kids. To keep them active because a lot of them don't have the money and trainers to get them to the national tournaments. To PAL, so they have to get experience and everything else. Other ways. So,
hey, Kelly, I want to ask you something because I don't fight. I don't go in the ring. Okay, you've been in there. You've been in battles. How does Crawford go in there and try to work on timing and rhythm while the other guy's throwing punches? Because basically he's trying to line the other guy up. How do you do that?
Well, usually by that point, you should already be ready for that. That's what the sparring is for in a training camp. That's why you bring in, and when the promotional company sends you the guys or pays for your training camp,
right.
You bring in guys that match that style. Like, for instance, when I fought Martinez, we brought Austin Trout. What was it? Oh, my God. Ernie, I can't remember his name right now, but he
was it Zavala or something? Or
Jesus Gonzalez we brought in.
Yeah, Yeah, Jesus. He was a big deal one time, right?
Yeah,
Jesus
he was
Gonzalez.
A hell of an amateur fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, we brought him. We brought Austin Trout in. That was to prepare us for, or give us the closest look that we're going to get to Sergio Martinez. Now, when you get in the ring with Sergio Martinez, your experience from amateurs and pros turns into play also. So by that time, if you had a really good camp, then yeah, you should be prepared. And then usually the first round, they call it the filling out round. You start. It's crazy how fast the mind works. Like, everything just kind of, after the first 30 seconds of the round, everything just comes into play really quick. And it's hard to explain to a person who's never been in there. But yeah, so I think that if you haven't had that look going into the fight, it might be too late, to pick anything up, or it might be too late in the fight to really catch on. So hopefully somebody had a really good training camp that could, lead them into that.
In the first round, when you first, in the first round, you walk over, he walks over. Is there a test of strength, or do you wait? Do you wait for him to punch, or do you go right to the attack? How do you do that?
It all depends on, a lot of times the first moves are depending on your nerves. How nervous you are, how amped up you are for that fight. Obviously mine, with a guy like Miranda, our game plan was to back him up. So obviously I wanted to be the first one at the opening bell to fire a punch and get him going back. Martinez, I can't remember who threw the first punch, and Hopkins, I can't remember. That was kind of still a fill-out round, or the first 30 seconds to see, what's going to happen. Sometimes you like to take a punch to block it, but still be able to judge on how much power they have. So, yeah, it's a really good question, Lee. A lot goes into play on that. It depends on what your game plan is for that fight. A lot of times I like to fill a jab and fire mine at the same time to show them that I'm going to be there to counter quick, and I'm not going to be really much on the defense.
Are left-handers tough?
To be honest, and I know it sounds weird due to the fact that I lost to a left-hander, I personally felt it was easier to fight a southpaw. I thought for an orthodox fighter, if you could train, which I would love to eventually when I open my gym, work with fighters, but for an orthodox fighter, there's a lot of ways that you could take away weapons on a southpaw and really keep them on a defense or hesitant in a fight.
Yeah. And what was your favorite fight other than Jermaine Taylor's? Another fight that you really liked and was significant for you?
I would say, last week as James Dominguez for our show, we had a breakdown, of kind of like what Teddy Atlas does on ESPN. So I got to punch on my co-host here a little bit, but
I took it well, Lee. I took it well.
But no, Miranda wasn't a fun fight to fight, but at this stage of my life, to look back on it, I think that was a fun fight because everybody thought I was crazy to go in there and try to back up this monster who was the hardest puncher, and everybody was afraid to fight him. I think that was actually the opening of everything, and not only did I beat him and take his punches, but I knocked him out. That fight was really big, and I would say Zartucci was a fun fight.
Oh yeah, what was your favorite arena to fight in?
That was a close one between MGM and Atlantic City.
Kelly, what's funny? A lot of European fighters tell us, a lot of American fighters say they want to fight at Madison Square Garden, but a lot of European fighters, they want to fight at MGM because of a lot of big fights been held there.
Oh yeah, MGM is becoming a new Madison Square Garden. The 50s. Yeah. I'll tell you what too. Obviously I fought twice in Youngstown at the Chevrolet Center, but that's kind of those fights were different magnitude of fights. Level fights. Even though Rubio,
your hometown arena.
Yeah, even though Rubio was a great fighter, very good fighter. Of course, that's going to be fun because you totally got like everybody there, Youngstown. Yeah. Even if they want to see you lose on the outside, they kind of or on the inside, they kind of got a chair on the outside so they don't look like jackaloons. But so obviously Youngstown was great. But I would say like for the big fights, MGM in Atlantic City was huge.
Another question I had, because I'm not a fighter, you guys know more than I do. But do fighters keep in touch with other years later after you fought them? Do you ever keep in touch with guys?
Some do. Some made big friends. I mean, the Toro Gotti, Mickey Ward became very close. I talked actually with Scott Sigmund, who I fought at the end of my career. I seen Ro Rosinski at the fights in New York.
Bernard last week?
Yeah, Bernard Hopkins. I talked to him, and very respectful. Yeah, I believe if you share big fights and you guys really put a lot into them fights and you go through a war together, I mean, you're not going to fight each other, especially after you retire. I mean, what is the animosity about? You guys just shared something and gave fans and the history of boxing something that you won't see all the time, and you're not going to fight each other no more. So I think that would be a hell of a time to really embrace a great friendship and tell your stories to people. I mean,
So when the fight is over, it's over.
Well, my part of it is.
Because Joe Frazier never gave up against Ali. He didn't like him right to the last day.
Duran never liked anybody he fought again.
No,
Duran didn't. And, Vargas didn't like anybody he ever fought afterwards.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I guess, Lee, and that's a great question, but I think it comes down to how much animosity there was and how much hurtful things were said in the pre-fight press conference. You remember my press. I never really talked any trash. I was respectful.
Oh yeah, you never did.
Yeah, I answered.
And you know something? I find that the elite stars never do.
Man.
Now I'm gonna give you guys a story. Okay, we booked Crawford against Hank Lundy.
Yeah.
He was a great trash talker, right? Great trash talker, and Carl Moretti did it for a reason. He said everybody has to go through one. So we're at the Garden, and at the press conference, Lundy turns to Crawford and says, "Hey, just be a friggin' man. You ain't no more. It's going to the friggin' street out here, screw top rack. Get this thing done right now in that street in Times Square. Come on," like that, right? Crawford just smiled, of course, and but he'd start talking about his mother and wife and stuff, and then they had a pushing, shoving at the weigh-in. Now I asked Moretti why we booked Lundy. He goes, because you have to get through a trash talker and move on. But and Lundy could fight a little bit. He went like 3 or 4 rounds. But
yeah,
Kelly, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, I would have to say, Lee. I'm going to say this real quick, and I'm going to give you somebody's got a question for you. But yeah, I would say the one I was a part of that I seen where the tension was really bad. I fought on the undercard of the Vargas De La Hoya fight. You were at that.
Yeah, I was at that fight.
Bad blood?
Yeah,
I was at that fight.
That was...
Oscar got tangled up in the ropes in the first round. It looked like the fight was over.
Yeah. That was a good fight.
It was high tension. I felt, for the first time in years, I felt high tension for the first Ward and Kovalov fight at T-Mobile. Yeah. I walked in. We had a fighter on the undercard, and a top-ranked fighter on the fighting a main events fighter, and our guy won the fight. But I just felt tension. Just felt it, Kelly. And James, I just felt it. And what's the question? I hope it's easy.
Okay.
Stephen Casper.
Stephen Casper got one that says, do promoters let their dislike for other promoters keep their fighters from getting big fights?
Well, you have to work with other promoters to make big fights. We don't hate it. We don't hate anybody.
Yeah.
We wish everybody good luck. But we do want to fight their fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Crawford, we got to find guys outside of our company. He wants to. What did he tell you? He's going to go to 47. Did he mention that?
No, he hasn't said anything.
No.
Yeah, we don't have any good 40. We have to go out to get 47.
Yeah.
And so, but we've cross-promoted probably with every company there is.
Yeah.
And Kelly, Kelly, it's just business.
Oh, I know. But most of my fights were cross-promoted.
We basically, with the series we have now, we want action fights.
Yeah.
Action fights. Just what you saw Pacquiao Horn go through. Good action fight. And Kelly, whoever wins, wins. That's the way it's got to be. It's got to be action fights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and if there was any feuds between promoters, it's only hurting the fighters. Like you just said.
By the way,
yeah,
we're I'm pretty friendly with all the PR people from other companies, as Kelly knows. I don't hold grudges against anybody.
No, you're one of the good guys in the sport.
Yeah. And when we fight another fighter, we just work with each other. Our only job at my level is to help them get in, do all the interviews they got to do. And Kelly, you've been through it, all the interviews you have to do for TV and stuff, and make their way into the ring. And once it goes in the ring, that's their business.
Yeah,
exactly.
When I saw Pacquiao get knocked out by Marquez, I was floored. I staggered. I couldn't believe it. I mean, his family and his kids and stuff. He said, "How can this happen?" That's why people come to the fights.
Exactly. Okay, Lee, we got a couple more questions for you too. This is great. You got people listening that are fans, and definitely interested.
Yeah, I know this is gonna be tough questions. Go ahead.
No. This Jake, this one I don't really believe that this has more to do with the network. But Lee, regarding top ranked shows on ESPN, can anything be done to avoid the long delays for the telecast? That's not.
Oh, you mean going from channel to channel?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? I hope it doesn't happen in 2018. We're not complaining because we love being on ESPN.
Yeah.
But I know where you're going at, and that's a good question, and I'll give you a good answer. In the last fight we had, it had to be it was in Tucson. We were on 3 different channels, but the ratings showed that the people followed us. We had tremendous ratings for the Oscar Valdez Gervania fight, and the fight with Zerto and Jesse Hart. Now, just, and I want to explain to you how our company works. Historically, and Kelly knows this, Bob will sign a lot of fighters in the same weight division, and then we'll fight them off. Right, Kelly?
Yeah.
He's not. So we tell the guys when you train, don't get too friendly because you may be fighting them next week.
Yeah.
and like top ranks, and there's some fights you want to see. We want to see Gilberto Ramirez Zurdo against Jesse Hart. We want to see that fight. 2 unbeaten guys, and they gave us a great fight. And the same thing with Valdez. There's a fighter from the Philippines who trains in Japan. He was incredible. His firepower, his movement. There was a lot of promise for a champion. Yeah. And, a lot of things were said in Valdez's corner to get to win that fight. Kelly, you know you're a champion. Sometimes you fight a really tough guy.
Yeah.
You know, and that happened on that show. And I think because of the action fights we got, that show did a very, very good rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my point is, I know we won 3 different channels that night. But I want to tell you guys something about ESPN.
You had the ESPN Awards too. Like I said, that kind of falls on the network, though. You know.
And we're not complaining.
Yeah, exactly.
Believe me, we're not complaining. We're happy. We love ESPN.
Yeah, Lee, I remember that. You know, because I was flipping back and forth myself. Yeah, but I mean, for me to sit on the couch and just hit last,
it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, you know, I was more.
Yeah, it says go to ESPN News or go to 3 or something.
Yeah,
but we're not. Believe me, we are delighted to be with ESPN, and because, as I said, it's attracting younger viewers. We're making better fights.
It's huge.
Making action fights. Just because you're a champion top rank doesn't mean you're not going to fight a tough guy.
Yeah.
Because you are. Because we have an obligation to put action fights on.
Yes.
Exactly. You know, speaking of that, I can tell from experience. When I was coming up, I mean, I got to a point where I was 12-0, 12 knockouts, and you guys are putting me in there with guys who didn't get knocked out, but who I was supposed to beat.
Well, no. Let me tell you how matchmakers work. You're both smart boxing guys. We sign a fighter. They'll give him the first 2 or 3 fights, right? And then they'll give they'll fight a 5-5 guy from Denver, but the guy can fight. It doesn't matter what your record is, Kelly. You know that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your record is. There are some 5-9 guys who can fight, and you want to run a kid in his second year against rough guys, bad guys, because you got to get past those guys to go where when you fight for top rank, the goal is to have him fight for the title someday. Yeah. That's their goal.
Exactly.
By the way, the exception to that was when Cotto turned pro with us. He was 19 years old, right? And Todd DeBuff signed him because he thought he had a great professional style of fighting, even though he was an amateur. And we turned him pro in Texas against a really good fighter. And I could tell he was a man already at 19.
Yeah.
He was already a man, Kelly. He was that good of a fighter. He wasn't a kid. He wasn't a 19-year-old. He was a man.
Yeah, that's what I was getting into. Like, you know, you're putting you in with these rough, and you know you could get guys that are 5-9, but that 5-9 could be, where did they get that 9 losses at? Just like you can fight a kid 7-0, but where did he get those 7 wins?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so that's what they did with me. They put me in. You know, they wanted me. They were testing me like, how good is his power? This guy is not known to be getting knocked out, and he can come to fight. He may lay some paws on Kelly. You know, how's Kelly's chin?
Yeah.
You know,
now,
that's it.
Also, I want to tell you guys, every day we get people at the front door or calls fighters want to fight for top rank.
Yeah.
And when you're our level of a company, you got to look at everything.
Yeah.
They come in, you know, matchmakers look at video.
Yeah.
You follow me? You can't, because you never know who's going to be coming through that door.
Yeah.
But I find just by being here that they like a lot of fighters with amateur experience.
Yes.
They like fighters who've been at Olympic level experience. They like fighters who've won medals in Olympics. And Kelly, you know this because it's so hard when you're an amateur fighter to go through all those. Let's say you got 200 fighters in your bracket to win a medal. It's very difficult. And I know there's screwball decisions and stuff, and but our matchmakers look past that.
Yeah. They
look past bad decisions and stuff, and just looking at footwork, ability, will to win, you know, and their demeanor and their
that's
fighting
the job.
style.
You know,
and their fighting style.
You know, and I was fortunate. You know, who was great at scouting, I guess that's the term you would use, was Cameron Duncan. I mean, what a job he did. You know, he's the one who got me signed with you guys. You know.
Yeah, he signed a lot of fighters at top rank.
Yeah, and that's who got me out of the amateurs. So.
And you know, there's a young amateur out now that was talking about wanting to sign with you, Lee. Have you heard of Xavier Ramirez?
I haven't, but our matchmakers probably have.
Yeah, he won the Nationals again, and I think he's like 190-4.
Lee, this is, and I'm not saying this. I know his trainer. This kid is legit too.
You know, it's easy to contact our matchmakers. Brad Goodman is Brad at TopRank.com.
Yeah.
And Bruce is Bruce at TopRank.com.
Well, his trainer.
But usually Brad Goodman is your doorway here.
Yeah.
He looks at all the videos of the fighters. So Brad at TopRank.com. If you have a fighter who you think can fight for us, send his name in. And my email is Lee at TopRank.com.
Okay. Yeah. Now, does Amy got your Amy's got your email, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Amy and I are dear friends.
Yeah, this kid has 6 national championships already, and he's looking to turn pro, and we were just like, wow, you know, this is where you'd want to go if you were going to turn pro. This is it, Top Rank.
Is he from Youngstown?
No, he's from
Philadelphia.
Okay.
I mean, I would want to take the kid, you know, and train him.
Yeah, just send us an email about him, and they like to look at videos, so you can link it with us.
Lee, I'd really like to train this kid, but his trainer is a big dude who got bald head.
He trains Kermit.
Yeah, he trained Kermit Citron, and I don't want to, you know, knock him out the way. It'd be too hard to do that. So.
Well, you know, when a fighter comes in here, some fighters come here like they say they're 20-0, and we ask them, "Who's your promoter? Who's your manager?"
Yeah.
Because in some cases we can't talk. If they have another promoter, we can't talk to them.
Yeah, this kid's an amateur.
We're not allowed. You know, it's not like Golden Boy and Top Rank. We don't poach other fighters.
Yeah.
We don't poach each other's fighters. Years ago, they did. Companies did, but don't. Not anymore.
No, just bad business.
If he signed a contract with that company, he has to fight for that contract or get a release.
Yeah. No, this kid's just an amateur, you know, and they don't know their next step, you know.
Yeah. You know, hey Lee, we are getting ready to shut down. Our YouTube time is running out. Listen, this was awesome. I mean, is there any way we could possibly get you back on? Maybe like once every 2 months or something. I mean, this
absolutely. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, this is amazing for our listeners.
I'll have better questions.
No, I think
you're supposed to ask me questions.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We can still do it this way though, because like I said, I think people are loving this, and
I never fought before, and so I didn't know what happens at the start of the fight. I don't know what happens at the end of the fight. I don't know if you stay friends with a fighter. Like before we go, I thought that.
Yeah, I got one more question for you too on here.
Two greatest action fighters I ever saw were Johnny Tapia and Eric Morales. I thought they're great action fighters.
Yes.
You know, there was I got to fight on Paulie Ayala card with Bones Adams. That you guys promoted.
Paulie's a great champion.
Yeah. Okay, we got a question from Steven for you real quick. A question for Mr. Samuels. If you sign a fighter, let's say to an eight fight contract, and you see after 4 fights it isn't working out, does Top Rank just drag the fighter along, or do they release them?
No, the fighters evaluated. If you notice, Bob Arum goes to every fight on the card. From 4 rounders to the main event, he's there. Then they have evaluations, but usually serious evaluations are once a year, whether to keep that fighter on the roster or not. Yes. It's just like a ball, like a Yankees or something. You add fighters, you delete fighters.
Yeah.
And you know, and it could be because basically Bob will go in the office to the 2 matchmakers.
Yeah.
Can this fighter win a world title?
And,
can he win a world title? We have interest in fighters who can win world titles, not just be a contender.
Yes,
and star power too which is you know.
I mean that's all companies are that way.
You draw flies in, and you know what? And Lee, Simon Rublikava from Fight Hype, and also my Army boxing teammate, he said, Samuel, is it just as enjoyable to put together a small show like how Tom Brake had the cow pasture shows back in the day, as it is doing a big Vegas show?
Yeah, there were different eras for Top Rank. We did a lot of small shows on ESPN. We did weekly shows back then, and I was part of that series with me, Bruce, Al Bernstein, and Michael Buffer. We traveled for years. 3 years we traveled together, and did a lot of those kind of they're great shows.
Yes.
A lot of that was up and coming fighters, action fighters. I remember one year we gave away cars. If you put 8 guys in a tournament, the winner gets a car. The guys fought their hearts out for it.
Yeah.
Right, Kelly?
Yeah.
And we also had when I joined Top Rank, the lead publicist was Irving Rudd, and the top matchmaker was Teddy Brenner. They're legendary people, and they're both in the Kennestuda Hall of Fame. In fact, Irving Rudd, my boss, is the only publicist in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Wow. He was that good. And Teddy Brenner and Bruce Trampler worked at the Garden together. And also, Trampler, believe it or not, when he started training fighters, he was with Angela Dundee with Ali. As like a third assistant, but he was second assistant with Dundee and everything. But he's got some great Ali stories.
Bruce had to be...
he always said Ali was a tremendous person, fun to work with, and just a good guy.
Yeah, Bruce had to be with Top Rank for a long time. I mean, my God, Lee, it's going on 18 years ago.
Brad are still here, so
yeah, it's going on 18 years ago that I signed with you guys, and Bruce was. That's almost 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
That's how long ago that was. And
Kelly, we had a great ride, and I wish it was still going. But I know how boxing works. But you were a great champion, and I enjoyed every second of you being a champion.
I truly appreciate it.
And we're back there. It's hard for a publicist to work with you to even watch the fight because it's tough. It's such a tough sport, and people want to see it. Believe me, and they want to see the new fighters we have. They saw you, and you had massive crowds for fights. By the way, one last thing. For our young fighters, we're a big arena company, as Kelly knows. We like big arenas, and we like to put the young kids on underneath those shows, just to get accustomed to the hundreds of press and to the bigness of a big arena. Just not just be a ballroom company where you do fights in small rooms, and I think that helps the fighters get accustomed to, right, Kelly, to the bigness of big events.
Yes.
Yes.
Would you want to know a place, or is he ask? What was you asking, Lee? Like, do you want to know a place around here that has a big one, or?
No, just in general, we like big arenas. We like big cities and big arenas.
You know what, Lee? That's it's funny because all the fights I had, with you guys, 42 fights, and I could only, I think maybe 3 fights was in a place that held less than 3,000 people. One of them was in
Youngstown. I was looking to. In fact, I have your record on my screen right now.
Yeah, one was in Youngstown. That was in 2001. I fought at the Metroplex, and it was Liberty, Ohio. I'll say Youngstown. I think that banquet hall held 2,000 at the most. But most of my fights, you guys had me. That's what I'm saying. How you guys bring fighters along. You had me on a couple of De La Hoya undercards. You had me on the Bones Adams Pauliella twice. You had me.
There was a reason. There was a reason for that, for you to get used to big crowds, and media and that kind of stuff.
My third pro fight, you had me on the Stevie Johnson in Denver, Colorado.
I'm looking at your record, man. You were a pretty young guy to be fighting these. You fought at Mandalay Bay, like in your.
Yeah, I fought there a lot.
And let me see, 2003. You fought 3 times there at Mandalay Bay. So.
I got around.
Yeah, you got around. Yeah.
California in your second, right?
Yeah, my pro debut was in California.
Yeah.
Palm Springs. On ESPN.
What was the main event that fight?
Antonio Diaz.
Oh man, he was a big star.
I think his brother Julio was I think both were on that.
Yeah.
Antonio was such a big star for us.
Yeah, we just saw him last week.
He drew massive crowds.
You guys fought me in Wisconsin a couple times on Eric Morrell.
Yep.
I ended up getting them confused between Morales and Morrell. But Morrell, I think
Olympic bronze
Did
medalist.
he fought a weight class because him and Bones Adams fought, I believe, my second pro fight in Wisconsin. They fought they fought on the same card, but I think one was co-main, one was main event or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Fantasy Springs. Hey, Kelly.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Main event, Antonio Diaz. Somebody wind up Antonio Margarito. Then Julio Diaz fought. Martin Castillo fought. He was very hot, and you made your debut.
Yeah, and that was on ESPN. That was a swing belt.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. Got on TV. I had hair too, Lee.
Yeah. So, do I get paid for this?
Yes, Lee.
Yes. You know, send Amy the bill.
Send Amy the bill and we'll take care of it, Lee.
I get a nickel or something?
Yeah, we do IOUs too.
Okay.
If not, when we come to New York, we'll buy you lunch. How does that sound?
Yes.
I like it. I like it a lot.
That'd be great to sit there and catch up. So.
Yep.
But all right, Lee. Again, thank you. We are going to have you back on. I mean, the people love this.
Yeah, I want to thank you. When I saw you in the MGM, you went. You and Terence have hit it off. That's great.
Yeah.
He loves to talk. He loves to talk to you, and I hope to see you again soon. You're a great champion.
Well, thanks.
And
Lee.
by the way, Kelly, you will always be a champion.
Thank you.
When you're a champion, you carry yourself as a champion. You always are a champion.
I truly appreciate that, Lee. Especially coming from you. It truly means a lot. So.
Yep, I mean it when I say it.
Thank you. All right. Well, we will be in touch with you. So we'll
okay,
be talking.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I
Take care,
appreciate
James.
it.
James,
you,
take care.
You too. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was
humbling. All right, guys. That is one of the nice guys in the sport. Everybody that says promotion companies or scum, Lee Samuels is the nice guy in the sport. He is the vice president of communications for Top Rank.
I said that 18 years ago when I signed with them. Yeah. He don't seem like a guy that belongs in boxing. Like that picture there, he looks like he might be,
John Rambo asked, how do you know Edison couldn't fight backwards, Kelly? Your analysis strategy was a thing of beauty. Most guys who punch hard don't fight backwards.
Most guys who punch and are knockout punchers don't fight going backwards.
There's no reason to.
No, they want to come forward and set up.
Want he with ring mag? I don't know what that means.
Wasn't he with ring mag? Maybe is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I think ring mag is more Golden Boy.
Golden Boy, yes. You guys in New York this weekend? No, Steven, we won't be in New York till December 9th for Lomachenko Rigondeaux. Well, Fernando Vargas kids turn pro. They're too young right now. Amado's only 12. I mean, it's too hard to say. There are a lot of years between. And Papas is 21, and I think he's focusing his junior year at UNLV right now, so I don't know.
But, yeah, I mean, that was a long show, and usually we don't keep guests on that long, but I just think that was more for the fans, interesting to really hear, and I'm not trying. And you know what? I am going to take this one as tooting our own horn for our show. You don't get many shows where you get a guy like Lee Samuels, who's with one of the biggest promotional companies in boxing, and really give you a lot of things that we didn't even have to ask him.
No.
He gave us the knowledge of how things go, and you don't.
Well, we got to thank Amy Green for getting that together for
obviously,
us.
that was huge.
Amy and Lee. Lee's the one that also pulled the strings for Terence Crawford. I'm not going to take credit for that. But these guys. This guy is a historian and knows more about the sport in just a small way than most of us will know in a lifetime.
Well, I don't even think you call him a historian. I think you'd have to say here's a guy that worked with these historical.
He's history himself.
Yeah, who actually was behind the scenes for all the making of these big historical fights.
Yeah.
So he better be a historian if he was doing them.
Yeah, I mean.
I look at guys who cover it, like a Bert Sugar. He's there. He's in his boxing. He was a boxing historian. He covered it, but he wasn't part of putting it together.
He didn't make the wheels move.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. Great insight. Good to hear the inside knowledge of the sport, some history. That's what we wanted from this show when we came on. We wanted to tell the show from a business point of view. what goes on behind the scenes, not just the fight. If you want that, you can go to any fucking podcast, any radio show, and they're going to tell you what goes on.
I'm kind of very humbled right now from this, just to have that. I mean, going back on it, like, and I'm not saying this for our show, I really ain't. I'm just saying in general, like, we weren't expecting that interview. And like I said, I've known Lee Samuels. I've been signed with him. My God, how many times I had to talk to him. Yeah. 2 setup interviews with other boxing sites. And when we were having him on today, I wasn't thinking like that was the way it was going to go. I mean,
he was going to interview us.
He was interviewing us. He was throwing us shit that, like, okay, yeah. That's why I was giggling a couple times.
Yeah.
I was looking at the time go by.
A lot of people in this position want to give people the time of day.
Yeah. And I was looking, at the time.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because he kept firing off, and every time he brings something up, I was like, boy, I want to say something back on it, but I'm like,
we had some great questions too. We had great questions, right?
Yeah.
We did have great questions lined up, but let him talk because
I told James to just get back to the questions, to get off the questions we were going to ask him. There was no.
I was like, well, he goes, let me tell you a story. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, he even tapped on 2 of the questions that we had for him.
Yeah.
It was thrown in.
His first fight. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, when we did this show, we wanted to show people the business,
Chris Otto,
the inside of boxing, what goes on behind the scenes, too. Because that's important. No, a lot of shows don't know that. They don't have that knowledge to give you what goes on behind the scenes.
And there's a lot more, too, that maybe he'll continue. We have to go back down and take notes on the show and tell him, Lee, we already tapped on this, man. Let's move on to the next chapter.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, I think we passed our time.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We appreciate it. He said you guys did an excellent job.
This thanks, Jeff. We appreciate it. That's our thing, is to make you guys like the show and tune in, because we know there's big boxing fans.
And do us a favor, guys. If you like the show, share the show. Share it out there. We have a contest going. The contest is whoever gets the most shares will get some autographed stuff from him, and from Kelly, not from me, because no one gives a shit about me.
The contest is mainly share the shit out of the show. Whoever gets the most shares, we will get you something.
We'll get you some cool stuff. And also, if you're close to the area, you can do a training session with Kelly. Like, you can maybe do what's that? Technique Tuesday with Kelly instead of me.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys could get that ring with Kelly instead of me and save me the bruises.
And again, we like to thank Burnside's Boxing Gym.
Burnside.
That's where we're going to be doing it at, for letting us go there. I mean, he has kids that are in training, and we try to go there when they're dying down with the training, so we're not interrupting it. But he opens the doors for us, and we truly appreciate that.
And then we'll be doing that a week after next again. We'll be doing Technique Tuesday. I want to thank Everlast, the Choice of Champions, Don's Automotive, and Get Your Money Clothing.
Yes. Jake, I have, and yes, them guys, those are the scary ones to hit. So, again, great show, guys.
James, do you follow amateur boxing? For the most part, my amateur days were done in 2002, so I follow it about as much as I can.
Yeah, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and visit punchline.live.
You'll get notices when the show's coming on, so you don't have to find it. It'll come on automatically.
Exactly. And if you go to the punchline.live, you could also go back and catch our older shows that we had and be able to tune in and
with Mikey and
with Mikey Garcia, Rudy Hernandez,
and Wolf.
Bronco McCart, and Wolf. Just a handful of people. So thank you guys, and we are gonna back up on out of this. We will see you Tuesday.
See you guys Tuesday. And with Brandon Rios.